Hey, what's going on, everybody? We just decided to start this live up. It's a nice day here in Illinois for once. Just wanted to see what you guys were all up to today. And we're going to have a little bit of trivia. Al, Malia, you got to go to bed. Oh, you got to get up early and go to work? That sucks. Well, I decided to go live tonight because some other friends have lives at different times. So with that, I don't want to step on anybody else's toes. So what we're going to do tonight, first and foremost, is we are going to have some trivia on here. NSB Customs Cars, how you doing? Dean, the lyrical genius who should be writing books. If anybody hasn't heard Dean, the way he does anything on comments, he is absolutely perfect. Steven, so what we're going to do is I am going to put a link out in there if anybody wants to join, because I am going to do some trivia, and it's all vintage drag racing related. Can you hear me, Jeffrey? Jeffrey, what? Can you hear me? What? Can you hear me? Yeah. All right. Yep, well, that was loud. Hello, Ed. Mopars, Mustangs, and minivans. Yes, it is the AHRA jacket guy. That was actually an original 1969 Swingster jacket, NOS, new in the package that I acquired. Those are very hard to find. Dizzy, everybody in the house. All right, so let's go ahead and let's get some trivia going here. I have 10 questions for trivia. And if anybody can answer these, I have, and these are quite rare, stacks of vintage AHRA trading cards from, I believe, 1970 or 1971. Hello, Alan. Buck, what's happening? Okay. So first question, just put it in the comments, and what we'll do is I'll put my email address up there, and email me if you win, and I'll send you one of these vintage AHRA cards. All right. Dean, yeah, right. My wife knows that I'm a high-functioning village idiot, but thanks. Hey, you know what, Dean? I would be more than welcome to live in that village with you. We can be like co-mayors, like the nuts running the insane asylum. Big Block 402, AHRA trivia. He knows nothing, and I'm sure he does know more. Okay. It's more than just AHRA trivia. It's just vintage drag racing trivia in general. So here's the first question. Who won the 1968 U.S. Nationals Top Fuel Championship? Let's hear it. Let's see in a comment. I see Levi's in the house. I know less than nothing. Well, if you know less than nothing, Dean, then you know exactly the opposite of everything. We're just going to go with that. Okay, so no, Big Block 402, you are very close. He won in 1969, but Rob's Rods and Streetcars is correct. So Rod, I'm going to put an email address up there, but I will send you one of these cards. All you got to do is email me and your address, and I will get it mailed out. Is this okay? Question number 2. Hello, Tony. Question number 2. What beverage company had their own racing circuit from 1969 to 1976, and what was it called? It is not an alcoholic beverage company. That is my hint. And just knowing the company, I'll give it to you. No, not RC. Although that's what I do drink. I don't drink a whole lot of soda, but that's what I do drink is RC. Awesome, Dizzy. Nope. Landon is correct on that one. Landon is correct. It was called the Coca-Cola Cavalcade of Stars. They paid out $1,000 per racer to be part of the circuit. It was actually pretty neat. There was a lot of famous drivers. It helped promote not only some up-and-coming drivers, but it also helped promote the Coca-Cola brand within the world of drag racing. Question: BNR Racing. Hey, how's it going? He's got a nice truck he's been building on right now. It's a 454. I want to say Gen 5. He's also got a couple of Pontiacs. Question number 3: how many NHRA national event wins did Jungle Jim have as a driver? Now, if anybody knows who Jungle Jim is, he was a very prolific showman on the track. He had a very curvy, hardly dressed girlfriend named Pam. They called her Jungle Pam. Landon, that is not correct. National event wins. It's a little bit of oddball trivia with Jungle Jim on this. If anybody can get it right, it is less than Big Block 402 and Landon's guesses. Well, Jungle Pam, yeah, she did have 2 big wins throughout her career. Yes, and they definitely a good weight transfer. It's not 4. It's not 3. It is less than 3. Buff, it's less than 3. Ed, it's less than 3. Dizzy, it is less than 4. Buff is correct. It is 1. So the whole thing about it is he was not a huge fan of doing actual sanctioned drag racing. He didn't trust the NHRA at all, just like today. A lot of people like us don't. He made a lot more money as a showman doing match races, best out of 3, going across the country, doing it his way, and having guaranteed money. So he actually only won 1 national event himself, and that was at the 1975 U.S. Summer Nationals at Englishtown, New Jersey. Although he did have a second car that he owned, and Claire Sanders actually won the 1969 Winter Nationals. So Buff won that one. Ed, you are right. He was a match racer. Unfortunately, I want to say it was like 1980. He was killed in his Corvette, hit a bus head on. It didn't end well for him, obviously. But Revell Model Company actually built a lot of his cars. He was very, very much a showman, had that look to him of just a wild man. It was pretty neat. All right, so question number 4. Now, we do have 10 questions, and you can win more than 1 prize. I'm just going to randomly pick out a card, and I will mail it to you. So here we go. So question number 4, Pat Minnick and John Farconis, who ended up becoming the Chi-Town Hustlers, which was a very, very famous funny car team of the 60s and 70s, and also part of the 80s, who took on Austin Coyle as their tuner, who Austin Coyle became John Force's tuner for the longest time, who recently retired. Prior to becoming famous, they were in the Chicagoland area as drag racers, but their big break was actually having a dealership sponsor them. Who was that? What dealership in Chicago sponsored them and had their very first drag car, an official drag car? Anybody in the Chicagoland area will know this. It was a very high-performance Dodge dealership from roughly 1963 to 1978. Yes, Ed is correct. Ed, I was actually really good friends with Norm for a very long time and traveled with him for many years out to Carlisle, Mopar Nationals, Mopars on the Mississippi, anywhere we ever went. But yes, it was in 1964, Pat Minnick and John Farconis, they ran their first vehicle that Norm owned, and it was a 63 Super Stocker. It was a Max Wedge car. It was called the Hustler 1. And Pat Minnick drove it. And then they had a 426 Hemi version of it called the Hustler 2. One was a coupe, one was a sedan. Actually, one of those cars still exists today. And they didn't last long with them because they wanted to do the NHRA stuff and go that route. Hey, what's going on, Lunar? And Norm wanted to go match racing. So that's when he picked up Gary Dyer, and the rest is history. Lunar, it is a good night in Illinois. Dean, Mr. Norm's Bowling 318 LA. Love that work. It was actually a 340, and they did them in 1972. That was a Paxton Supercharger, the same ones that were found on the twin turbo Shelby Super Snakes. The carb bonnets are one of the hardest items to find. However, I do have one. And I also do have on the way an original Seagal made tri-power air cleaner lid for the 1971 Demon GSS cars. So yes, even though I am building this Ford, I do have a big Mopar background. All right. So question number 5. This is going to be a difficult one because it's not very well known. What Ford dealership advertised with a sticker that had Wile E. Coyote riding a Boss 429 running over a Roadrunner? Because we all know Plymouth had the Roadrunner theme going on, and there was a very, very, very large performance Ford dealer out in Monrovia, California. Yes, John, someone did say 340. And yes, Mr. Hack said 340. Yes. But yes, to combat the Plymouth Roadrunner, there was a Ford dealership in Monrovia, California that advertised a Boss 429 with the Wile E. Coyote on it running over a Roadrunner. And I'll give you a hint. They were really big into super stock racing. They were actually officially a part of the Ford drag team. And actually, the owner of the dealership was the spokesman for the Ford drag team. They handpicked a guy out of Georgia. I want to say it was Georgia, Alabama, named Hubert Platt. He was a nutbag, but he was a hell of a driver. It was not King's Ford. If nobody gets this one, that's fine. I'll give it 10 more seconds. It was not Tasca Ford, Dean. Tasca was out on the, I want to say, East Coast, but that is a very, very, very good guess. It was Falger Ford in Monrovia, California. Look it up sometime. They got one of the coolest decals ever by a Ford dealer. It was kind of neat. It was kind of a slap in the face to Plymouth, but, you know, it was all racing and all fun. Okay. Question number 6. I know there's some nitro guys in here that like that type of stuff. 1960, Alton, Illinois, which is the St. Louis area. There was a guy named Chris Karamasinas. They called him the Greek. In fact, he was still racing up until a couple years ago. He raced in Top Fuel. At the time, the Top Fuel slingshot dragsters were doing about 180 miles an hour. Well, he turned the clocks at Alton at 204 miles an hour in the nitro class. There was a lot of speculation on he was cheating, but at the time it really wasn't cheating because there was no rules against it. But it was in the pits. It was one of those things. If you did it, you kept it quiet. But what fuel was he suspected of using to help him win that and hit that 204 miles an hour? And I'll give you a hint. It makes copper burn green. It's very explosive. If it dries, it creates little salt style looking flakes and they will explode. It's not nitromethane. John, it's close to benzene. Yes, BNR is correct. It is hydrazine. Okay, so we have that one. Benzene was another style fuel they were playing around like that. They were all explosive fuels. Yeah, Dean was actually also correct. Hydrazine. Sorry, this are going here. So I will have to send out 2. Since 2 people did get it right, I'm going to be sending out 2. So 1965. We're going to go back to the NHRA stuff. And the way this plays in with the AHRA and some other sanctioning bodies is NHRA really had a stick up their ass. A lot of times what they did is they kind of erred on the side of maybe a little bit of caution, maybe per se. And there was a lot of companies starting to get really fast, doing some crazy stuff. And in 1965, Chrysler Company made a total of 12 vehicles, 6 Plymouth, 6 Dodge. And they had run these cars from the factory in the 2% class, what they called it, and they banned them. They were doing wheel stands. They would send out they would send out flyers and letters to these racers saying you can't do that. Dick Landy had one. Butch Leal had one. Lee Smith had one. A bunch of people had these cars. So in 1965, NHRA banned what vehicles? Ed, that's kind of correct. What vehicles? You are correct, but what vehicle did they ban? It's an A990. In 64, that was the A90, but in 65, Ed Machine is correct. The altered wheelbase cars. So there was an NHRA rule where you couldn't have anything moved more than 2%. So you know what? There was 3 people in here real quick that got that right. So I'll send those out. So I'm going to have to send one out to Mr. John Wilburn. I'm going to have to send one out to Raker and Ed. So they moved everything forward too much. NHRA told them to pound sand. The racer said F you, and they went to other sanctioning bodies and ran really good. And a lot of those cars became what we see as today as the original funny cars. That was a very pivotal year in 1965. A lot of people were altering a lot of different vehicles. Hey, how you doing, Irish Outlaw? One of the crazy things is a lot of those cars is they were carbureted 426 Hemis. They were race tuned, and they were running like 1090s out of the box. Quickly, they got a lot of Hillborn injection and started getting gulps of nitro and getting really fast. In 1965, Mr. Norm acquired one from Color Me Gone Roger Lindemood. He repainted it, put a wicked blown 426 Hemi on it, and he started match racing all across the country. He got invited out to Lions Drag Strip. There was a big East Coast, West Coast battle. A lot of the California people didn't think the East Coast guys were worth a shit. So he went out there and ran an 863, made the front page of the LA Times, and that was unheard of at the time. So pretty neat. A lot of those AFX cars today don't exist. I've seen quite a few of them that are remaining in person. They were acid dipped. They're extremely paper thin. Ed's Machine talked about the A990s. Those lightweight cars actually had aluminum fenders on them. Not many of those exist anymore. And if you do have a pair of any of those aluminum fenders, you can email me, and I'd be more than glad to take them off your hands. So we're going to go with question number 8. And John, I don't know if you're going to be able to get this one or not. I know Dallas should. So question number 8, AHRA. What was their first year as an organization? AHRA's first year as an organization. One second here. I got to type something in the banner. Should have done that earlier. All right. So you can email me that if you won on that. Okay, so Red-Eyed Patriot. Let's see here. Let me back up a little bit here. Ed is very, very close. 56. Oh, J-Bo, I know you were probably like a teenager at the time. Just kidding. You're very, very, very close. John knows what he won't say. J-Bo, you're really, 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 really close on that. Dust Devil Garage, 1776. No. BNR, you're right. Animal Jim Foyer raced AHRA. He raced a lot at Cordova. Jason Falk is very close. Okay. 1939 is not correct. 73, nope. 68, nope. 57. Who said 57? Okay, Dizzy and Ed and Jabo. I have to give 55 and 57 to all of those. So Dizzy, Ed, and Jabo. Okay, so the thing is about it, it's kind of a trick question, and Buff. So it's kind of a trick question. So 1955 was actually the first year for the AHRA. However, they didn't race. Walter Menschler, he was the starter of it. 1957, they actually first started racing and had a president, which was Don Garlitz. And in 1958, Jim Tice came in as VP. 1959, Jim Tice was the president because Garlitz was on doing a lot of racing. So, yes, if you answered that one, if anybody answered any of these correctly, seriously, just email me because I have a lot of vintage AHRA drag racing cards from, I believe, 1970 or 1971. I'm going to guess. There's a bunch of cool ones in there. I am born in 1957. Okay. So if you answered those correct, anybody on any of these questions, seriously, just email that and I will get this mailed out to you. Jabo, I have to say this. I love the live the other night, and I'm not saying that in a facetious way. It was absolutely fun. Now, here we go. Question number 9. We got 2 more questions. Question number 9. What was NHRA's first year? Like, what year was it founded? It's kind of a double question here. They did not race the first year they were founded. Their first official race was actually a different year. NHRA's founding year. Yes, Andy is correct. So Andy won that one. They founded in 1951. Their first official race was in 1953 at LA County Raceway in Pomona, which became Pomona Dragway. So if you answer any of those correct, I will send that out. Now, here's the last question. Then I'll throw a StreamYard link out. IHRA. What was their first year? Now, I got to remember, IHRA was the third kind of official sanctioning body. I know there was UDRA later on and a bunch of different ones and all that. But IHRA was kind of like the third official sanctioning body. So it was after HRA. It was after NHRA. So what year was IHRA? Close, Rob. Ed's very close. Jabo's even close. Well, it's in between what Jabo and Ed said.
I can't get into the StreamYard thing.
Okay. Nope, Landon. Not 19. Ryan Barr's Ness, 1970. All right. Ed is correct also. So that's the 10 questions I had of trivia. I'm going to do trivia every once in a while and have giveaways. I got all kinds of cool drag racing stuff laying around that I've been unearthing. So what I'm going to do is I am going to put a StreamYard link in here if anybody would like to join. So yes, that was the questions for tonight. And I have actually a whole, hey, what's going on there, Jed? Ed, I tell you what, there's a lot. I have like a lot more other questions coming. I figured I'll do 5 or 10 on a live. And I am going to try to do Saturday night lives around this same time. I know it's late, but Buck does a live. And Bear Rose does a live and all that. And I don't want to step on anybody's toes. Oh, so we have the official John Wilburn in the house. Hey, John.
Howdy. May not have enough signal for this to work.
Well, it's all black. How you doing there, Andy?
Yeah.
Mexican spec.
I can hear you.
Bigfoots and Mopars is in the house. Steven. So yeah, that was some of the trivia. And what I'm gonna do, let me grab it real quick. Jeff 3 is also in the house tonight. He's been researching 79cc Predator engine upgrades. So all right, looks like we lost John. How you doing there, Scott and Mohawk, everybody? So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to keep a tally of all the winners. And around the week of Thanksgiving, what I'm going to do, and this is pretty rare. This is some trivia in itself. This is a press kit right here. And if you see, that is not a Mopar and that is not a Pontiac. However, that is a Mercury. Here is a little bit of trivia for you. Dizzy, your first question was dealership. It was, yep, Grand Spalding Dodge. Now, Dizzy, I'm going to answer a question on that here in a second. So this is a public relations kit from Lincoln Mercury Division from Dearborn, Michigan. Now, you might want to ask why I brought up Pontiac. Well, here's why I brought up Pontiac. This is extremely, extremely, extremely rare. So there was one driver that was independent. He had a little bit of backing from Pontiac dealerships, but he was so good. Yes, it is Cyclone. Mercury decided to bring him on, and we've got another guest in here. We got BNR. So this here,
yeah, it works.
What makes drag racing? Okay, and it goes in and it talks about all the cool stuff Mercury was doing with some of their AFX cars. Kind of hard to see. Shows you all that fun stuff. Now, here's the crazy part about it. The driver this is for Arnie Beswick. And if anybody knows who Arnie Beswick is, he was probably the largest Pontiac driver of all time. So why did Mercury pick him up? Well, he was an independent guy. And when he was drag racing at tracks, he was destroying them. So they couldn't have this farmer from Illinois come in and beat them. So they decided to hire him. Now, I got to know Arnie pretty well. And what ended up happening is they were not giving him what he needed. So he was just an average racer. So this is from 1965, running Arnie the Farmer Beswick. It's his actual official press kit with the official photo. And this is not a reprint. This is all original from Ford, Lincoln, Mercury, whatever you want to call it. It has everything in here. So, and this is the very first time BNR has been on screen. So this is actually very, very rare. And whoever answers the most trivia questions from now until roughly Thanksgiving gets this. And yes, I did get this from Arnie himself. So, all right, Brian, tell us a little bit about your history with Pontiacs.
My dad bought a Grand Prix brand new in 1974, and I think that's where the addiction started. So yeah, I would have been 4 or 5 years old.
What year would that have been then? You were probably a little kid?
Yeah, I was a little kid. 1974 was the year.
Yeah.
He was complaining about the gas prices back then, I recall. And my demos.
Gas prices need to start dropping.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I recall him take my brother and me around, flying, doing 90 at 100 plus in the car many times.
That was pretty common as a lot of us, kids. I remember, I was born in 1979, but I had a really good friend. His dad was into Camaros and Trans Ams and, that type of stuff. And man, we'd go out to the lake and he would, take us out to lunch and it just flying around, and I remember it was a nice Z28. And we got Dean says your dog looks happy. So that's a good thing. Can you see any of the comments, Brian?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
What year Z28 was it? Do you recall? Or
No, it was. I mean, I would have said at the time mid-70s.
okay.
Yeah.
Aluminum bumpers or the plastic, or do you recall?
No, I had a bumper. It was. I would have said probably one of the last years for bumpered Camaros.
Yeah, it'd be 75 or 70. No, 77. I believe is the
Yeah.
last. No, 76.
Automotive Carnage. He is an Australian friend. You got to check him out. He does some really, really cool stuff down in Australia. He's one of our other overseas friends. Dean, another one. Addiction isn't the right word. Transubstantiation is more like it. Great habit to have. Pontiac cars are what you say, Jeff. Different in a great way. Yes, Pontiac is really awesome. I've learned a lot with Pontiacs over the years. I like a lot of the Pontiac content. Mohawk, that's cool. They your friends. So, oh, really cool. One of his cars. Arnie was not the fastest. Yeah, but Arnie actually was probably the biggest showman on the Pontiac side. You know, when he was still racing that Pro Mod car up until, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago, he was still doing half track burnouts. And it was nitrous Pro Mod Linko shifted car. Jed, how you doing, brother?
Tired.
Yeah. What's new with you?
The quest to the first start of the Barracuda.
The Barely Cuda?
Yeah, I guess I got to get my own terminology right.
That is a cool car.
I don't know about cool, but it's a car, kind of.
It's getting there, though.
It's almost a car. It's almost a Barracuda.
Yep. And for those guys that out there are Mopar fans, especially in the world of slant sixes, do check out Automotive Carnage. If one of my mods out there could throw a link out to his channel, that'd be great because he does really neat stuff. Thumper, he's a Pontiac guy. Oh, Thumper says Pontiac guys are not different. Everyone else is different. You could probably say the same thing about if you were a Ford guy about Mopar guys and vice versa.
I can tell you what, Poncho.
I like them all.
You definitely don't want to underestimate.
What's that, Pontiac?
Yeah, Ponchos, Pontiacs. Yeah, you don't want to underestimate them. They were a force to be reckoned with back in the day.
Yeah, they were.
They had a killer racing division.
So here's something neat that I have coming, and I used to have it, and I got another one of them through a source. In the mid-'60s, Pontiac actually put out a promotional album, and it was like a song called the Gito Tigers, and it was like an LP. But then they had a dealer one, and they had like on the B side was like the Pontiac testing division, and it was all fake, but it was really cool. And they played it at dealerships, had this cool like poster with it. And I have another one coming, and I'll be playing that, but it's actually neat. But the Pontiac stuff was pretty cool. They didn't rev the highest, but they were pretty neat. Andy says, growing up, my dad had a 68 Ram Air 2 Firebird. That is a rare car, and I bet you that did run.
Wow.
It's worth a mint now.
John, you are correct. Mopars are the different ones. We are fast. Here's a little trivia thing for you. Back in the day of the big three, if you want to call it sales-wise and like market share, Chrysler only had like 1% of the market share. They had a very small percentage. That's why you see so many unique cars. Chrysler was doing things out there that GM and Ford didn't because theirs was more mass production. So when you could get all these oddball options, Chrysler was doing it because they wanted to sell cars. 421 Catalina. So a friend of mine named Mike, he's been on the channel like once a long time ago. He grew up in a Pontiac family, mainly GTOs, but he actually had a Catalina. It was one of the 421 tri-power cars, X-Block, 4-speed, had that, console with that console mounted tack that was rare, had the two-piece.
It was a 2+2 then.
It was extremely rare. And he bought it in a little town called Downs for $1. 4-speed car too.
Wow.
Sitting in a field. Lunar, you have a great night. So,
I
Jed,
kind of wish I was doing YouTube a long time ago. There was used to be a couple of brothers that lived here in town where I live, and they were called the Foster Brothers, and they it was odd. You never saw them with anybody but themselves. They were always the two brothers everywhere they went. Didn't matter what car they were in, what truck they were in. They were always together, and they were thick as thieves. But one of the cars they had in their collection was a real 69. No, it was a 70, and it was a Ram Air 4 Judge.
nice.
And Fred ended up having a head-on collision with it. Some drunk guy was driving and creamed him. But the car sat in their backyard for the longest time, and you could always, if you just look just right in the brush, you could see the nose.
No
And
kidding.
it was freaking cool.
There's always been some really, really cool Pontiacs. Like there were some just oddball, rare Pontiacs out there. I did put a link out to Automotive Carnage. He's going to be starting a Australian Slant 6 Valiant.
Ooh,
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
I need to
Dean,
watch that.
421 Super Duty. Why does a car 100 cubes less than Jeff's? Why do they go so fast? That 421 was a great engine.
Yeah.
Very great engine.
Just because you got cubic inches doesn't mean you instantly got a bunch of horsepower. I mean, it's really that simple. I mean, it's all in the
Well-
cylinder head technology.
It's the entire package, the engine and the camshaft they use, and the cylinder heads.
Oh, you're right. It's the whole package. I mean, you can't just have a big gnarly cam, or you can't just have big compression. You can't just have the biggest, gnarliest heads. You got to have it all matched.
Yeah.
They have factory aluminum exhaust manifolds, most of them. Segway.
I still want to get my hands on. I want to get my hands on an Australian 265 Hemi 6-pack. Had the 3 2-barrel side draft Webers. They still. I mean, over there, I've talked to him, and they're all over. And I'd love to
I've
get
never
one
seen
over
one,
here.
Jeff.
Clifford
Wow.
Performance makes them. Makes all kinds of performance parts. They are so neat. In fact,
You and I both.
the Valiant Charger, Jed, that they put them in had, like the 70 Dodge Dart hood.
Oh, dude, I
scoops
know
they had?
exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I would love to have one.
Oh, unreal.
Those things
Thumper.
are freaking awesome.
Thumper says rare Pontiacs, like a 72 455 HO Formula special ordered with a damn near every option, no paint code. Odd you say that. My friend Mike, the one that had that Catalina, his dad had the GTOs, just got done restoring a 72 455 HO 4-speed GTO. And I want to get over there and do some video on it this winter. He only lives like 2 minutes from me. Ooh, a 68 Delmont.
Ooh.
So what do you got going on tonight, Jed?
Sitting here trying not to pass out.
Yeah.
I got another long day ahead of me. The
So-
same could be asked for you, Jeff. Where are your zoomies at?
My Zoomies, I ordered all new exhaust stuff, so we're gonna make them work. I got a new transmission, technically on the way. I just got a new center section in with 488s and a spool, and ordering up all kinds of other goodies.
Well, I'll send you a picture. I can't share this on the open web because it's kind of a surprise for this next Barracuda video, but I will send you a picture of what I've crafted today. The guy I bought the headers from hated the idea of what I was going to do. I said, I'm
Yeah.
doing it anyways.
Tony, kill for a 69 Firebird 400 Ram Air 4. 67 Le Mans with a Hot Rod 6. That overhead cam 6 is a cool engine, and actually one of my favorite Pontiacs is the T37. Jed, how's the tail shaft?
Oh,
Ooh.
it's still broken.
I like that.
The tail shaft is still extremely broken. We have
Yeah.
not dug into Jezebel yet. I want to get the Barracuda running and potentially driving before it gets too cold.
We had 80 degrees today, but it was very, very, very windy.
Same.
We're gonna have that same tomorrow. I actually put some stable today in the tank and just kind of drove it around a little bit. Kind of getting it ready for somewhat of a teardown on some stuff. Yeah, Dizzy, it did look funny. The first overhead cam motor, those were very, very, very odd engines. But you know what? It worked. And it kind of opened the door for a lot of advancements for other companies. There's a channel that I'm not a big fan of that's been not part of the No Name Nationals or anything like that, but has been doing one for a while. And it's actually a really cool car. Mohawk, you were talking about Arnie doing the keynote speaker thing. I heard that was actually really, really good. That guy's a hell of a guy. And a little funny story for you. So Norm and Arnie match raced a lot. And a lot of people, I mean, they dug each other hard. They played pranks on each other, but a lot of people just thought they were just diehard enemies, and they were actually really good friends. There was races where Norm would pull pranks on him to rattle him and vice versa. Well, Arnie's home track was Cordova, right? Not too terribly far from Chicago, but far enough where the home people in that area obviously liked Arnie. And for a race one time, Arnie found an old like 59 Dodge body, put it on a manure spreader, and painted down the side Mr. Norm Grant Spalding Dodge and put it by the track. And there's a picture of it, and it's absolutely hilarious. Ooh, Jack Pine is going to sleep with 2 AARA Cudas this Tuesday. That sounds like some dirty, hot automotive fun.
That reminds me, I got to send Mark a picture of some fender well headers.
Oh, man, those are neat, Jed.
Oh, not of mine. Not the ones I sent you, but I've got a pair of headers that are somewhere like what he's looking for.
Yeah, Mohawk, you live less than 20 miles from Cordova. That is actually when they do their Nitro Blast, their World Series drag race, all that type of stuff. I try to never miss that. It is absolutely blast. So much fun. If you ever get a chance to go to Cordova and see one of their races there like that, it's actually really cool. Jed, I was out and about today driving, and I kept on hearing something. I live out in a rural area, and you could tell this car was just getting all over it. You could hear it like all day long, right? Yeah. And finally, I figured out what it was. There was a guy that was big into AFX and super stock racing, and he had passed away, and his son has all his cars. Well, one of his old cars, his son had out, but it's tearing up the countryside in it. It was a 65 Dodge. It's a 426 heavy 4-speed car, and he was out ripping around in that. Hello, White Trash Motorsports. Hello, Clint.
That'd been freaking cool to witness.
Yeah. You might know the family. I'm trying to think of their names. I probably don't want to say it over here. I'll text it to you, Jed.
Okay, that'd be fine. Yeah.
They've been in Mopars for a very, very long time.
I know quite a few Mopar guys up in your neck of the woods, surprisingly.
Yeah.
That reminds me, I've actually got to plan a trip potentially to Chicago, actually to Genoa, to deliver some parts.
Nice.
If I can have time. That's the problem. Ooh.
You see that, Jeff?
Oh.
Ooh.
I see a Trans Am.
Yeah, both of our attention. A white one. Oh.
It's been sitting a while.
How many years has that been sitting? Too many?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
Mopar guy or not.
Ram Air 4.
Yeah.
What year did you buy that?
1994, September 2nd, 1994.
Wow. I was had my learner's permit. Look at that. It looks pretty darn clean.
Yeah, she needs a wash.
That's my favorite front end. That's the best looking front end in my opinion.
Sneak peek.
There we go. Enduro front bumper 7.5. Pick up the 63 Belvedere 2-door post tomorrow at 9 a.m. Then we're street testing Jeff's 700 horsepower Duster. Now that's going to be fun.
Oh wow.
Anything with 700 horsepower and an A body is just got to be a blast.
Or scary.
Yes. How you doing tonight, Doug? All right, Jed. We got to know, man. We got to have an update on the Barely Cuda. Like, been watching your videos and all that. Like, how soon do you think we could see that thing just doing something viciously cool?
Well, so almost done. It's a hard line underneath the carway. Dad's almost got all the electrical done. If it doesn't fire tomorrow for the first time, it'll be sometime next week when it'll fire. I don't have a drive shaft or yoke or none of that stuff yet for the transmission, but we can at least get it to run.
Yeah.
Oh, and I gotta finish the rear end stuff before it can drive. Oh, the leaf spring perches aren't even welded in, and I haven't set pinion angle yet, so that's another deal I completely forgot about.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Definitely be interesting.
Definitely don't want to forget to weld your leaf spring perches on your rear end, right?
No. In fact, it's kind of funny you brought that up. So just been doing a lot of, prior to breaking everything, test hits in the car. And the way that Ford is, it's got lower control arms. They're tubular adjustable, Spawn Performance. And then it's got kind of a center one on top that goes to this brace support across the frame. Then it's got a panhard bar.
Yeah.
That one doesn't work very well.
I need it to be like-
Join on your phone.
Okay.
All right. And the way those work, they do move around a little bit with a lot of torque, Jed. So after talking to a lot of people, what I did was I ordered not leaf spring purchase, but control arm purchase. And there's different size holes, 2 sets, one that's going to go on that frame bar spread apart, and then the other 2 on the axle. So it'd be like a 4-link at that point.
Okay.
And it's luckily what I was able to do was, after measuring everything, the one that's already up there, I just got to space it out more, had to buy another one to move it out further. I bought the last one.
Oh,
So it's
wow.
I know. Oh, I know. So just trying to beef all that up back there. And the transmission I'm getting it's a full competition, reverse manual, valve body, trans brake, lower first gear, R servo. So then I'm going to have a converter made for it. So should launch pretty hard.
That'll be freaking awesome to see that all done up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna join and go out and
Okay.
there.
Is that working?
Yeah.
My son's having some technical difficulties. He's trying to join. He actually had a massive blast at the No Name Nationals. He sees everyone working on cars all the time here at my friends' places. But actually going to something like that was a huge thing for him, because it's like, holy shit. I get to see what I see on the internet. I get to see like what these things do, and he watches a lot of the channels. In fact, there was one night I was on a live and I saw him comment, went upstairs. He's supposed to be in bed. And he's watching one of these lives. He sets his notifications,
Good
which I
kid.
find comical.
Yeah, the No Name Nationals was a lot of fun.
Yes, it was.
And
It's very much fun.
I can say it here, like I told John, I've told a lot of my other buddies who didn't end up coming to the event. I was looking for excuses to not enjoy myself. And I blew the absolute hell out of my transmission. I still say I had a lot of fun. That didn't even get me down.
So I took a good video. There's my son. I took a good video of that breakage and I slowed it down. And when you dump that clutch, that rear end goes straight down and bites.
Yeah.
I mean, it just wham, I actually looked at your burnout. I think you heard it a little bit on the burnout.
It may have. We've been talking to a lot of different people about the brake, and a lot of people seem to think the drive shaft was too long. And I'll probably have to do a video on just disproving that, because you can see, like, we got the slip yoke separated from the drive shaft, all that stuff. It's all one big unit. And when you pull it out, you can see where shrapnel erupted out of the output shaft through the output house, or the tail shaft, through the billet yoke. You could see where everything was when it all broke.
Yeah.
And a good friend of mine who actually studied metallurgy in college, who understands, he can look at the grain structures of steel and tell you why it broke, how it broke, what was wrong with it. And he looked at the picture and said that was there was an inclusion in the forging. And you can see, you can look down in the center where it all kind of spiraled out of. And it was literally just a matter of all the right things going wrong at the right time.
Yeah, that was just catastrophic.
Yeah.
But it was gonna happen at one point, I guess it's better it happened out on the track than on a road somewhere and not have anybody help,
Well, I don't
that
think it
thing-
would ever broke on the road.
Oh yeah, it's true.
You'd never be able to grab that kind of traction on at least Kansas roads. It had to be one heck of a road.
Yeah. Yep. Jeffrey, what are you doing? Are you upstairs?
Yeah, I'm in my room.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Why don't you tell these guys, Steven, have a good night. Why don't you tell these guys your plan for a monkey bike?
Oh.
Yeah, I am.
Well, let's hear it.
Yeah.
So the monkey bike that I am doing, it's gonna be a 79cc Predator engine. It's either we're gonna spray it or we're gonna put a turbocharger in it. And then the monkey bike that we have, we're gonna take the engine out of that, rebuild it all, paint it, put whatever decals we all want on it, and then we're gonna put a wheelie bar on the back.
Oh.
The reason we're doing a wheelie bar, I was showing Jeffrey and telling him back in the day in the 60s, those guys that had the V8 motorcycles was like a direct drive, right? So they had it on a little bit of a stand and they would just floor it and that back tire was spinning. They got pushed or dropped it and hit it. Well, after riding, the monkey bike I did and everyone else, those things are nothing off the line. So I just want to get those RPMs really up, drop that bike and go.
And watching those monkey bikes, I heard, we're talking either turbo or nitrous. I think what would really help one of them things, because I don't think you can mess with the gear ratios. I'd hit it with nitrous. That turbo is going to have a little bit of a lag still.
I think that's the route we're going to go, is the nitrous, because they make a kit. It's super simple. It's just button and just dump it, Yeah. We actually, right before this live, we were going over the engine we have. It's new, but we're going to, the ports don't match anything on it. So we're going to port match everything, open everything up, and just give it a little bit more power and just really just Jed, I'm trying to talk he's probably more bullheaded than I am on some things. So what we're trying to do is I want to spray it just for simplicity because I already have a header on this thing and just let her eat, you know?
Yeah. See, I always thought about if I was going to do the monkey bike thing, I would take like the stock engine apart, weld the piston up to raise the compression ratio up, and chuck it back in my lathe, get it all machined out. I would take the cylinder head, somehow find a way to chuck it up, machine parts of the head off to up the compression ratio, and get that cam out.
Yep.
Grind it out, give you some more lift, make sure everything clears.
We did pull the valve cover, the cheapest rocker arm style assembly ever. I mean, they're junk, man. They're so bad. But we'll play around with it, tighten it up. I don't want any lash on it. I mean, I just want this thing just to be poppy. Run some hot fuel through it, spray the living piss out of it, and just wear a cup.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would say if you need any kind of inspiration on things you can do to pump up the engine that'll be internals, is that Jonathan W. guy I watch. He built a motorcycle engine from scratch.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, he cast his own cases. He used like a crank from one engine, a rod from another, and a piston from another. But, you know, like the rockers don't even belong to this engine.
Huh.
And it's completely made out of just random stuff that he either made or found. And it's a single cylinder engine, and it looks like it's an old 1920s like Harley Davidson.
Very cool.
And it's a really cool build, and it kind of inspired me to get into different things like that.
Push Rod TV, how are you doing tonight? Oh,
That's not a
Australia.
huge channel name.
Doug, Ed's Machine, Doug. I'll get an H2 Kawasaki. So those H2 Kawasaki's, they called them a Widowmaker. It was a 3-cylinder, 2-stroke. I want to say early 70s maybe, and they were called a Widowmaker. They were like just this unrefined 2-stroke power for the time was extremely fast. They made 2 CCs. I don't remember. One of them, I think, was a 750. They called it the triple. Unbelievably fast. And they just screamed the RPMs. They had a very unique sound. I should probably never say that around him because Jeffrey would be like, oh, I want one of those now. Let's put one on there.
What? I wasn't listening. What?
Good.
Good.
Well, all right. Hold on. I'll be back. I need to grab the MacBook out of the garage.
Okay. Yes, Mopar's Mustang minivan. Apps, that motor may go kaboom. Yes, Ed, it was the H3. That thing was absolutely amazing. Oh, we got someone else in here.
What's up?
Mopar Man 78. Did you ever watch the video where the guys recreated the Dumb and Dumber mini bike? They changed carbs and worked over the engine head. Yes, that was absolutely cool how they did that, and it was funny at the same time. Doug Narden, H1 500 and the H2 was a 750. Man, those things were awesome. Dizzy 500 had one, tried to kill me 3 times. I think anybody that rode one of those would probably say the same thing. If you ever get time, Jed, go out and just look up the Widowmaker Kawasaki.
I'm familiar with them.
Oh, such a cool bike.
I'm a pretty big bike guy.
Yeah, you got your Indians.
Well, yeah, I got the Indians now, and I got my Moto Guzzi's.
I'm back.
I like also.
NSB might get an old Kawasaki KZ drag bike out for a showing at No Name Nationals 23. Well, I tell you what, I have, once I find the correct parts from Japan, I've been building a cafe racer called Vanishing Point. It's only a 175. It's a CL 175. It's actually pretty cool. I'll call you out, but you're going to blow my doors off because everything you bring is just on another level.
Jeff, you're a pretty light dude. I'm sure. Yeah, you're. I don't think it's power to weight ratio, man.
That's true. That's true. That's probably why I went to the finals in the Monkey Bike Challenge.
I'm surprised how much I enjoyed the Monkey Bike thing. It was just so goofy.
Yeah,
but it looked like it was a lot of fun.
I've got a plan for the Monkey Bike burnout.
Let's hear it, Brian.
I'm not going to say. I'm not going to give up my plan. It's a secret weapon. I'm going to come up with a line lock. How about that? I'll let you.
Well, if I can race next year, I mean,
So
Okay.
the my bike that I have, I bought it in July of last year, tore it down, and it's almost done. There's just some hard to find parts that I want. It ran and tore it down, lightened everything up. I rebuilt the engine, and it's weird. Those Honda Twins, the stroke isn't like this. It's actually like this, right? So you pull the head off, and they're little, perfectly Hemi little heads on. There's Buff Del Campo, like little Hemi heads. So I sent the head off to a place in Oregon. Guy did all kinds of work to it, sent it back to me, and the cylinders were actually really, really good. I just honed them, but to find stock bore pistons was very, 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 very hard. And I found a set of 13-to-1 race pistons in Japan and bought them. And they were absolutely, I paid more for shipping than I did on those. Let me see if I can find the tools for that to install those pistons.
for what? I don't even know. Oh, then okay.
Ryan, keep
Ryan,
them entertained for a minute.
Awesome
I'm on a
vision
hunt.
of Jeff's car.
I'm looking at the pictures you put up in Discord, and I'm not going to say anything.
I sent those to Jeff. He had to see those.
All right. So these are for Honda Twins. These were a dealer tool. And what you did was if you look, they're tapered for the bore, right? Like a piston installer. So you clamp around the piston on each one, and then you put them in at the same time because you can't put one in at a time.
How small are those pistons?
You see what I'm saying, Ben? 52 millimeter. Tiny.
I don't speak in millimeters, Jeff.
I might actually have another set of them. I think I do. Let me see real quick.
You can just tell me what 52 millimeter is in inches.
Yeah. Let's see.
Dude, see how can it be?
Yeah, here we go. So the way I did the engine, Jed, was basically like
2
the
inches,
factory was like
Jed.
19.
2
So
inches.
the way I did the engine was factory was like 19, and I went off a recipe from that guy in Oregon to make it like 30 horse, and I geared it super way down with some real heavy duty clutch packs. It's like a drag bike, but I just haven't got it done. So here is the piston. I mean, it's like a Hemi piston, Jed.
Yeah, that actually looks just like a 426 piston.
The
That's
cylinder,
the
inside of the cylinder, look, yeah, that's how the cafe racer looks, just like a Hemi head.
Well, it's just like a Chrysler Hemi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shoot, where'd it go? I have something.
Yeah.
Where it went? Because the Moto Guzzi, the way they do their Hemi piston is a true perfect dome. At least in the earlier years.
So the pistons that I got are more domed to raise the compression, and there's very, very, very little relief for the spark plug and everything in there. I mean, there's not much room at all.
Well, that's kind of the problem
I was
with
pretending to eat.
That's the problem with the Hemi design. You can only make that dome so big before you're getting dangerous and scary, close to the valves and everything.
But if you can see, they were pretty crustified.
That's adorable.
I'm gonna clean them up. You want one?
I do.
Well, I
For
mean,
your collection of. Okay.
There actually is a collection of pistons over there. That's adorable.
Yeah. But, so here's how you did that on each one, right?
Oh.
And then but you had to do them at the same time because
What the?
they did this instead of this.
That sounds complicated. I'm not that good with both hands.
It took 2 people.
Yeah.
Yes, the top of the piston would fit an ice cream scoop. And Joe, I agree, metric is garbage.
Yeah, I don't speak metric.
Brian, how's the Duster? I saw you put a video out today. I haven't been able to watch it yet.
Yeah,
Let's hear
don't
it.
bother. No, it really didn't have. I hardly had the Duster in it at all. It
I'll
was
say
just
this much to
basically
Brian.
something on because I had to do maintenance on my daily. I did a little bit on the Duster, and I was like, I didn't have a whole lot to shoot. Now this video is coming out next week. Basically, it's the
Yeah,
start of a
weird.
new project.
Nice.
It's my buddy's project. I'm not. I mean, I'll tell everybody, but it's not a secret or anything. But he's got a. He's got. I think it's an '87 Cutlass. That's a G body, right? They went all the way up to '87.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he bought a '70 Cutlass that had a 455 in it and 400 turbo transmission and whatever the big Chevy rear end is, but it was in a garage fire. Paid $250 for the whole car. Basically had them cut the motor out of it, and we popped the motor, and when we pulled one of the spark plugs, water came pouring out of it.
Oh,
And yeah, but he only gave $250. He's gonna sell the he's not going to use the 400 turbo, so he's going to sell that for $300 as a core, and he made his money back. He actually made $50, so he's ahead no
Nice.
matter what. But we took some 30% vinegar and dumped it into because it was locked up. The cylinders, once we got the heads off the cylinders, let's see, 5 of them had a bunch of rust in them. And
That's never
we
good.
dumped some 30% vinegar down in them, let it sit for 24 hours. And you are not going to believe what that did. I mean, I think we're going to be able to get away with just honing it now. But I just went today and dumped vinegar in the other 3 cylinders. And we're going to see what that looks like tomorrow. Hopefully we get the motor tore down tomorrow. I mean, the bottom end of this motor is immaculate. I think that the water actually brought the level of oil up to right at the crankshaft because everything in the bottom end of the engine is just brand new. Beautiful. And it's had some work done to it. So, but yeah, we're going to put his car together, and I'm going to do some more. I'm soon I'll be doing more to the Duster
very cool.
because I got to get that thing running by Christmas. I want it running by Christmas, and I want it
definitely wanna
moving
learn
under
your
its own
technique on
power
how
by
to use
New
an
Year's.
What's that, Dad?
Oh,
You
I
know
just
what
want
you
to
do?
know Brian's technique on doing that alternator change that well.
Oh yeah, it was awesome, wasn't it?
Yeah, I need to learn that.
Yeah, no, I'm never doing another alternator in that car. I don't care if it goes out. I'm paying somebody to do it. It was actually
doing
like
mine.
a 2-hour ordeal.
I'm going to do mine. So
I cussed more putting that alternator in than I did doing the entire Duster.
that's
Even
not right.
even getting hot BBs going in my ear, I would rather have hot BBs in my ear from welding the subframe connectors than do another one of those alternators.
Yeah. I want to give a shout out to Ed's Machine. He hit his 500 subs. And
Nice.
I've been jokingly saying this, but not really jokingly saying this. He's become like the official machinist of the No Name Nationals. So congratulations, Ed. I think he hit it last night or this morning, which is awesome. And I know there's a lot of other people out there that are getting close to their 500.
Well, that's good because even if the number goes up, they got a really good jump on it. Like I said, they haven't said anything on if the number is going to go up or
Pretty sure John said it's going to stay the same.
Okay.
But I think that number was set basically on like that's kind of where YouTube kind of recognized you as a content creator.
So this is what we need to do with this game, Dad. We need to like put this on the exhaust, and then we make popping sounds with it. That's what we
No.
need to do.
We have
Yes.
an open header for that.
No, we can have.
We just
the
have an open
big
header.
muffler,
I
put
just
in
got
there.
it in the mail. It's an open header. Slash
No,
cut
we can.
open
No, we don't need to use.
What
Put it on
engine?
there.
What engine do you look for those monkey bikes?
So there's a
79
97
I tried to look
cc
up-
limit. Just actually,
Uh-huh.
the probably we bought a 79 cc Predator engine.
Oh,
And,
because I thought
you
you
can
had
get
to leave the factory engine in it, but you could only do modifications. I don't know. Like I said, they're going to be changing stuff. So
The factory engine that we had on this Doodle Bug exploded about 500 years ago. So it's a cheap Chinese knockoff of that CTU 1000 or whatever it is. So we're rebuilding it, and I got a bunch of neat stuff in. Hey, what's going on, Rich? GT 350R. So it's gonna be neat. I think Jed is right. I'm gonna have the power to weight ratio down, and in fact, somebody told me because of what I weigh and what those bikes weigh, I would have been disqualified technically because I was underweight.
so you may have to hang some weight on it.
I'm going to be eating a whole lot of cheeseburgers this winter there, Brian.
Well, then I'm most
Well,
likely to be underweight.
you are a
and
little
I only like
skinny guy.
100.
I am.
Here's my question: are you planning on going to Indy this year?
Yeah. Because I'm going to be bringing out my 66 Coronet.
Try to get as many people as I can to go to Indy, and we do a big meetup and go go to like a steakhouse or something one night.
So,
soup?
No man
Yeah.
soup.
So I'm going to be bringing out my 66 Hornet to start on that soon. Yes. Ribeye steaks are good, Joe. Oh, it's my favorite cut.
No, I love them.
So yeah, I've had it for a very long time. It's a very clean car. Needs a little bit of a couple patches put in, but it's a 66 Coronet 4-door. And it's going to get the kind of event. I really like Jack Pine Savage. That car was like, that's always been my style, that vintage, pretty much period correct style. And I'm going to do that in a 4-door. Except I'm not going to copy the wheels. I'm going to do American Racing, really skinny ones up front with like Pro Tracks, steel wheels out back, white. And I have a 383. We're going to do a 426 low deck stroker. So,
Whoa.
that'll be the 2020
Are you gonna
car.
What happened to what
wait?
we
You put
talked
the
about?
440 in it.
What's that?
The 440 should go.
The
in.
Hemi?
Yeah, we talked about
So,
Yeah,
Jed?
the 440.
We did. We talked about Hemi, right?
Yeah.
I can't afford that right now.
Yes, you can.
Who can?
I can't. I have
I know
Right
a
now,
motivated
that one-
fellow in St. Louis with a pair of heads that'll work. And I know I can get you a block.
Okay. Well, let's just do both engines then.
Okay.
Let's do both because I
See,
already
Dad,
have.
I say
Let's just do both.
I said we put the 440 in it.
That
I want to
440
say
is going in the original.
Foots, by the way, congratulations on your 1,000 subs.
Yes.
'Cause I think that was just last week he hit 1,000. Bigfoots and Mopars.
That is a really cool car. That car
I like that car.
was one of my favorite cars there. Yes, Shell, someone did say Hemi. I've been talking to Jed about this for a while. I really want to do a Hemi really, 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 really bad. Really, really, really bad.
I know.
How much
guys.
money does that take, Jeff? I mean, everything ideal, 18,000, you think, or turnkey?
I'm not sure because it would. I don't know. I mean, I've talked to Jed about it. There'd be kind of some of the vintage speed part style stuff in it. Maybe some stuff that's hard to find, some higher end stuff. I don't know. I mean,
I would almost think you could pick up the speed parts cheaper than the factory parts.
So as far as we're talking 426 Hemi prices, if you want to build it in a hurry, you're going to spend every bit of 16 to 20,000. But if you can piece the engine together along, over the course of, say, if you got the patience for 2-3 years or longer, it took me 4 years to put everything together for the Pro Stock. And we can definitely come up with the parts to build you a 4.6 or whatever cubic inch stroker variation you want.
Yeah.
Personally, I like the 484 Hemi the best.
This is way too bright.
so Jeffrey says 440. The 440 Magnum that I do have in the garage, Jeffrey, that's for Eric's Mr. Norm van. Dean says wrap on 426 heads onto the 521. Just change the bore spacing with sleeves and use 2 adapter plates to make the 5 volts scared. Dean, you're my friend. I usually agree with you. I cannot agree with you on that one. Fox says to build a hot 340. I do have a couple 340s also.
Don't you have
Show. My dream car is a 71 Hemi Cuda 4-speed and plumb crazy.
Oh, I love that one. I'd love to see that.
What's that? Dean's idea?
Yeah.
Okay, well, Dean lives in New Zealand, so we're going to send Dean a care package. He's about 5'2", 110 pounds, wearing a blue hat backwards currently, and I'm going to be sending him a care package. Just remember to feed and water it. 451 wedge would be another one too. Jason, the 318 poly. It's funny you say that. I almost did buy a 318 poly last time I was up at that old dealership and passed, and I shouldn't have. In fact, when I told Jimmy I passed on it, he threw something at me because he's always wanted to build one.
I like
I would.
Wait a minute, Dad. What was that one small block you have next to the garage door?
Shh. That's blasphemy.
Jason,
that's a GM product.
Jason needs to build that 318 poly that's in his car.
I don't know what he's saying about being slow because I'm pretty sure he probably was faster than me and Jezebel.
He was faster than me for sure.
He'd probably give the Cuda a friggin' run for its money. It's a bone stock motorhome engine with an oversized blower motor attached to it on top of it.
393 poly. I kind of like the way Ed is saying that.
Yeah.
Oh, Mark, he's got Vinwala forged pistons in a 400 block. I'd sell. Yes, we need to talk about that.
A 451 is a killer combo. That's like perfect bore to stroke ratio for a low deck.
Yes.
And if you're going to build a performance engine, the low deck is just the way to go. It's a better, tighter, neater package.
Unless you want to put a tunnel ram on.
Yeah. Everything I'm going to be building is going to have a tunnel ram on it. What's up, Big Richard?
Oh, Richard. I missed him.
Okay.
Yeah, everything I'm going to build from now out is going to be a big block and a tunnel ram.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with small block tunnel rams.
No, there's not. And I always play in the world of small blocks. And I tell you what, I after building this big block, even though it's the bad letter 4-letter F word that doesn't rhyme with duck, it rhymes with gourd. I like the big block power. It's fun.
It's got the torque. You can't get that torque out of a small block, really.
No, and it just keeps pulling and pulling. Every big block is like that. I know BNR, he's a Pontiac guy, and playing around with some Pontiacs. Man, I tell you what, Pontiacs have that torque.
I really want to see Kyle bring it down here.
What's that, Jeffrey?
Kyle.
What's that?
In his GTO. Kyle's GTO.
Yeah, what about it?
I want to see him bring it.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, what happened with that car?
Kyle's got some health stuff going on right now.
Oh, Okay.
So that's pretty much stopped him from doing a lot of stuff this summer.
Sorry to hear it.
Most polys can go over 90 over. That's nice to know. Yeah, Ed, you're right. You can't beat the torque. And you lay into something with a big block and it's got the right gearing and all that, that torque just goes for days.
Now, wait a minute. Don't the 318 polys have the same bottom end as a 318 LA?
That I don't know. Hello, Dakota.
Pistons, I would imagine, would be different for valve reliefs. Obviously, the heads are a completely different design. It's a canted valve system instead of, well.
Yeah, I'm talking about like the crank and rods.
I think the bore and stroke is the same, but I'm sure the cranks are probably somewhere, if not interchangeable. I'm not sure.
Well, I was just thinking, because they make stroker kits.
Jeffrey, plug in your
made a
phone.
stroker 318 poly?
I did.
Okay. Well, now here's a question. Wasn't there one of the maybe I'm totally off my rocker here, but couldn't you take a set of 354 Hemi heads and do something to put them on a 354 or 318 poly?
Not the 318. The 318 polys is kind of its own thing. It shares more with the LAs. You're thinking about the earlier polys, like the 260, like the early Dodge polys. You know, we're talking the 240, 260, 270, whatever those cubic inches are. Those early ones, you could technically basically take a Hemi head and put it right on, and it would work. The problem is actually the valve reliefs, and that's a problem with the Gen 1 Hemis, is unless you actually have a Hemi piston and a poly piston right next to each other, you can't tell the difference too well. Yeah, like the Red Ram, that's what I'm talking about. The actual true, like Red Ram Hemi piston, the valve reliefs are dead in line because Hemi. The polys, the valves are just barely canted apart. So you technically really shouldn't do that if you got a big lift cam, but those things are low enough compression, you'll never have an issue. And I think the same thing applies. I think Chrysler maybe had their own version of the poly, but back then, you know, you had Dodge, Chrysler, and DeSoto all had their own different engines.
Yes. Jed, what is your there was a question out here from my friend in Australia. What is your guys' favorite American V8s? We'll start with Jed, we'll go to Brian, and then we'll go to Jeffrey, and I already know his answer.
That's dead simple. 426 Hemi, end all be all, best performance engine ever created.
I agree.
For what?
Just your favorite American V8. Brian, what is it?
Oh.
Actually, I like the Magnum V8s.
Okay.
The 318 and 360, 5.9, and I forget the other one. I forget what the 318 is in non-freedom measurement. But yeah, the Magnums, I like the Magnums.
Jeffrey, what's yours?
I was going to say Chevy Big Block.
Oh, I should put you in timeout.
Ooh. Oh.
I like them,
They
though.
make power. They make power.
They do.
I'd rather have power than anything.
Big Block makes power.
So my favorite American V8 is the 446 pack.
No.
I love the Hemi. I absolutely love the Hemi, Jed.
Now
That's
you're in.
probably that's my all-time favorite engine for everything. But if I was to have a street car driver, probably the 446 pack.
Oh, yeah. When I say Hemi, I mean it because that was, once the 426 Hemi came out, that was the bar. That was what you tried to beat if you were a race team. If you were Ford, Chevrolet, old Pontiac, whoever you were, that was what you were after to beat.
Yep. And, you know, the thing is like I have friends that are on the other spectrum of, you know, the automotive world. And they always argue, oh, the Chevy Big Block did this. Oh, they did this. I'm like, what engine dominated NHRA and drag racing for years?
That
was the Hemi.
got kicked out of racing.
Yes.
You know what, Dad? There's also the Cobra Jet too.
Like I have friends that are on the other spectrum of the off-road
Oh,
world.
what is that backfeed?
They always argue, oh, Chevy Big Block did this, oh, they did this. I'm like, what?
Somebody needs to close their YouTube browser.
Someone's got it. Okay. Chef Shade Tree, Ford FE, without a doubt. The 427 Camry is the ultimate motor. I actually do like the Camrys. Unfortunately, due to NASCAR and everyone else, they said FU, Ford never put it in a production vehicle. But what I've read is the single 4 version was 606 horse, and I want to say the twin 4-barrel version was 616 horse. Joe Brennan or Tony, not too many people know about the ball stud Hemi. So the ball stud Hemi was they made a handful of them. Tom Hoover got a hold of one, and I agree that it kind of got hacked up when he put it in that 68 Barracuda. It was originally at Dick Landy's shop. It was actually a pretty cool engine. It was kind of a mix between like a big block Chevy and a 440 and a Hemi. It was weird, or a 383 and a Hemi.
I think it used more like a 400 block. I think it used a 400 bore. It was meant to replace the 426 Hemi and still give us a bad mofo of a street strip race engine for our stuff.
Yep.
I will agree. The 427 Camry is an epic engine. And if Chrysler would have been able to figure out the dual overhead cam Hemi before NASCAR put the nicks on it, it would have been phenomenal. But the problem I know that Camrys have is their valve train. They break. They're not well designed.
No, but Chef does make a good point. When the 427 dominated when it first came out, he's right. Those Camrys, especially the ones they put in the AFX Mustangs, killed it. And then when Don Prudhomme had one in his slingshot dragster, he was murdering it. But Sam Oxier Jr., he ran them, and he had a really good live. And he was talking about the bottom ends on them weren't 100%. They did have that very unique valve train, but those were very wicked engines.
Yeah, they were advanced, definitely.
Fox says to work on the small block Chevy all day, to drive Pontiac 421 HO tri-power. Yeah, that's a stout engine. Dean, the 354, 392, then the 426. The Windsor built Hemi broke parts. The Indy built 426 lapped up nitro like it was made for it. Yes. I think those guys with that 426 Hemi jet just knew, oh, there's going to be drag racing with this. And, if you look at the Boss 429 and you look at the single overhead cam motor and the Hemi, it was NASCAR inspired. The high revving RPMs and all that, but still just very, very cool.
Well, Ford really screwed the pooch on the 429, the Boss motor, for their street variant. They really just ruined it for the street. Yeah. If they would have, all Chrysler did was less cam, less compression. That's really all that was different between the race Hemis and the street Hemis. Yep. I mean, an intake cam and compression ratio, and you don't even really need the compression for the Hemi really to gain anything. However, I know with the Boss 429s, there was a lot. They're not the same engine. Their race counterpart, like the 426 Hemi, the race motors got the same block the street cars did.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the first Hemis that came out, Jed, they were way different than the street Hemi. The compression was much higher. The cam was different.
Oh, yeah. If you're talking about the K-head, the race Hemis, they were, that's what I'm saying. They were 12.5 to 1. Solid lifter. Of course, all Chrysler engines were solid lifter until 1968-ish, mostly. Except for like 318s. I think they were hydraulic. All the performance engines were solid lifter, at least at that point. Compression ratio. Of course, the early race Hemis had the K-heads.
Yes.
Which there really isn't much different in the K-heads. You didn't gain nothing. Nobody really is desiring a set of K-heads unless they're doing a restoration.
But here's a good one for you, Jed. My mom's cousin, he's kind of a recluse, never had kids, and he has been collecting cars and parts forever. He never does anything with them, mainly GM stuff. And Actually, when he was in Vietnam, his buddy kept it for him, but it was a Nikkei Nova 427 4-speed. And the car he had before that was a Hemi Cuda 4-speed. But he had called me last summer, and he's like, and like I said, he's kind of a recluse, and he bought a Hemi Recreation clone, clean car, but it's been tubbed and all that. But he pulled out the engine and put in a crate engine because it was such a high compression motor. Yeah. And it's one of the race Hemis, cross ram, aluminum K heads, you name it. And I'm looking at the date stamps. It's legit. And I'm like, you want to sell that? And he's like, no. And he just put a crate Hemi in it. And it's just sitting there in a corner.
Wow. Have one that complete.
That would make me crazy.
Actually, hey, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
You know the guy that you'd see at car shows with all the gold teeth, real short, wearing flannel shirts all the time? That guy. He's got barns full of cars.
That sounds really
That's
familiar,
him.
actually, the way you described that.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I actually might be thinking about my answer now. About the Chevy Big Block. I don't know. Cause I think I might go over to the Cobra Jets. Too.
Well, there's nothing wrong with changing your idea. I mean, you got a lot of years to figure out which one actually is your favorite. I mean, you got to experience them firsthand instead of just listening to old guys talk about them and looking at them.
Yeah, I still think I got a lot of years to change my mind on that stuff too.
Yes.
I might like the big block Chevy. I might get me a C3 Corvette and put a big block Chevy in it and love it.
So real quick, and I'm going to ask Brian Reeland a question, but Chef Shade Tree says the Ford Thunderbolt was the ultimate factory drag car with that 427. What's really cool about that is there was the Mickey Thompson one that Mickey Thompson developed Hemi heads for that was an absolute killer, but I think they had to stop it because Chrysler caught on to it and there was maybe some lawsuits because Mickey Thompson did cast some also heads for a Pontiac that were Hemi. Now, Brian, other than Pontiac V8s, because I know you're a Pontiac fan, what is your – we're talking about our favorite American V8s. Other than Pontiacs, we know that's what it's going to be. What is your favorite American V8?
Right now it's a 454 big block Chevy. Before that, I like Oldsmobile V8s a lot.
Yeah.
I do. They got their own power band.
Oh yeah. If you just keep in mind, like I've been helping my
River Street, cruising, having fun. You're not going to win drag race nationals with it. Not without a ton of money, but
Push
I
Rod
like them
TV.
all, really.
So I'm going to throw a link up to Pushrod TV real quick. Let me get.
I want to know. So what was that? What was in that silver GTX there? No name.
Brewer Racings.
I talked to Scott and Mike Brewer quite a bit, and our engines were almost identical. I don't remember the cubic inch, but he was making almost the same horsepower I was. He was making I think 650.
That thing was super healthy. I could tell. It was.
Well, they've been racing for a lot of years, and they know how to drive those things.
Yeah.
I am not that.
Yeah. My whole thing is I broke at the wrong time of the year. Really pissed me off because I took basically 11 months out of my life to build a car, and everything I do for fun I put on hold. I went to Jeffrey's games and occasionally might have went somewhere, but I was just day in, day out working on cars. Break at the wrong time, which sucks, but I'm going to get there, get it done, and start on my 2024 car. I'm going back to a Mopar, which is nice.
There is.
So, yeah.
Your Chef Shade Tree guy is trying to trigger me, I think.
He's definitely a 427 camera guy, and I think he did say his dad built him and raced him back in the day. And this is what I like. I know there's a lot of people about the banter, and this is what I call oddball banter. Okay, because he's obviously an expert, and I'm not saying that negatively. This guy knows his shit when it comes to camera stuff. You know your shit when it comes to Hemi stuff, and especially the oddball Hemi stuff. So yes, that's a, and Ed does too, and all these people in there. This is one of those automotively intellectual debates that will never be figured out, but it's awesome to listen to.
It's 100% opinion.
Now,
Well, a lot of the stuff we deal with is 100% opinion.
if we all had the money to build whatever we wanted and go out and race, that would be fun. Now I can say this, my opinion, 426 dominated, but Chef is correct. When that camera started hitting the strips in a lot of places, whew, it was a surprise.
Oh yeah, I won't deny that.
Now the Boss 429 did okay in pro stock, but it really never hit the mark.
You guys want to hear something that I was just sitting here doing a bunch of research on while we were talking? Not a bunch of research, but a little bit of research because it went through my head, and it might actually blow your mind a little bit. It kind of did me just now. You take a 318 poly, they go 90 over. That's a 4-inch bore. You get a stroker crank, a 4-inch stroke crank, because yes, the bottom ends are the same. 402 cubic inch poly.
Oh,
that's something I want to try.
That'd be cool.
Very fast too.
How much horsepower can that block take? A 318.
What's that?
How much HP can the 318 block take? I mean, what's it known to take? Full water tractor filled.
I have no idea.
It's a good question. My only question would be to the idea of building a stroker poly is, what could you do with the cylinder heads to get the airflow out of them?
That would be the thing, because you're not going to buy aluminum heads for it anywhere. You're probably only stuck with like 1 or 2 casting numbers, so you'd have to get in there and hog it out and see what kind of flow you can get out of them.
So
have to get on Stan Lee's website and get a baseline.
Landon says, how many Hemis won the Le Mans? I have no idea, but if you remind me, that's a really good question for our next trivia next Saturday night. If you guys weren't here at the beginning of the show, I had 10 trivia questions. And if you answered it correctly and email me, which is right there, 2hacksgarage@gmail.com, I will be emailing you, or not emailing, but sending you in mail one of a vintage. I have a big stack of these AHRA trading cards. And there's some very cool ones in here. And the overall winner through Thanksgiving will get the original Arnie Beswick Mercury AFX press kit that I got from Arnie Beswick. So that's just another pitch.
Okay, Jason just said there's a 426 stroker 318 poly that made 552 horsepower.
I think I have that article. It was in, I think, Engine Masters. As far
so
as
here's
poly heads now.
I just want to say, as far as Le Mans racing, I'm not super well read on roundy round and circle that kind of racing. I like straight line because I'm a simple Neanderthal here. But typically engines like that, look back, Trans Am racing, 66 Dar with a 273 dominated first year. And typically you want a smaller engine because, it's NASCAR is a big oval and the Hemi breeze at high RPMs. It doesn't do well at low speeds and stuff.
Well, and if you can turn, you're not going fast enough.
I like that. Thank you, Brian.
Now, I absolutely, I do like some of the old vintage Trans Am racing and stuff like that. Now, I'm going to try to get this to work. I don't know because I'm not a big. I'm going to try to present something here. Don't know if it's going to work, but I want to show you one of my favorite engines of all time. Let me see if this works or not. Share screen. Let's see here. Share screen. So Let me know if you guys can see this or not. Can you see
Once
what
you
I'm
open it
sharing?
up, you're gonna have to go back and put it up like somebody came in.
Okay.
So you'll be able to see it at the bottom, but it won't be.
Okay. Let me see if.
There we go.
Okay. Whoa, that's like trippy.
Whoa.
Okay, so
You
here
picked
we
the
go.
wrong screen.
There we go. Can you guys see that?
Okay.
You could have
Oh.
just shared the tab.
So can you guys see this all right?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
See it,
Okay.
Jeff.
The Chrysler
Yeah.
Unobtainium, a real late 60s Westlake Plymouth Indy engine. So this was a 318 based engine. Plymouth and Gurney got together, but look at this thing. Look at the heads on this thing. It's basically like a tunnel port head, mechanically fuel injection on each one.
That's
And it
super
was-
cool.
Isn't that just neat? Look at that.
That is cool.
It's a Can-Am engine.
They're high revving little
Any air
monsters,
rail.
man.
That's what I'm
Look at
saying.
that thing.
Ooh.
So yeah, that is something I've always wanted to get my hands on and build a whatchamacallit, a fun little car. Or I was watching it was one of those Detroit street race things, right? And this guy who had worked for Chrysler Engineering for a very long time had taken a sprint car engine, tuned it differently, and built this ultimate badass small tire drag racing 68 Dart with a 5-speed, and was out there mopping up all of like the Hellcat cars. And it was like a 410 cubic inch, whatever Chrysler engine. It was neat. Some of that oddball stuff, Jed, I really do like.
Oh, I love all that oddball stuff. I wish they would take engines like that Westlake engine that's just sitting there on display doing nothing and just put it together and have it be able to fire up for people.
Yes.
Because it's one thing to just, it's kind of like my reason for putting the Pro Stock together. Looking at it is just like, oh, well, that's cool. Moving on. But getting to hear it and feel it is a whole nother thing.
I'm still trying to find a turbocharger for my mini bike. I mean, I'll talk about
Look up
this.
like forklift turbos. They're real small. They're about yay big. You find one up like a forklift, small one.
Okay.
So, White Trash Motorsports says, is it too late to bring up LS engines? No. Actually, I was playing around with one today because we're doing an LS swap in a 91 Chevy truck. Nothing crazy with it. It's going to be more of a cruiser. It's beautiful. Actually, I was talking to Brian a little bit about those head designs, those cathedral port head designs. It's actually a great head design. I like it. You guys know this. I've talked to Jed a million times about it. I love the vintage stuff. However, I do like the thought of that cross bolt main and the LS, and I really do like what Ford's been doing too with cross bolt stuff you see in like the Godzilla engine and stuff like that. So at least there's engineers out there that are actually building platforms to really build off of. Mopar Mustangs minivans planning on taking the 318 out of the Dart and slapping it in a D50 for fun. That would be fun. And if anybody saw at the No Name Nationals, White Trash Motorsports entered the burnout contest, and it was actually really cool. And what I liked about it is he showed me pictures of it later. The turbo on his car was just glowing red. And this guy literally brought the heat in that car. Every rant he did, it was like, holy shit. Everybody should go check out his channel sometime. If you want to talk about budget, turbo, fast, that's the guy right there.
Large, I see.
Now, here's a question we're going to go through on this. And I'm going to start off with Brian Brinker. What is your least favorite car?
My least favorite car, Jed's going to kill me on this, but it's got to be the Pacer. I hate Pacers. Absolutely hate Pacers.
Okay. Someone's going to get punched, I have a feeling. Brian Reeland, what is your least favorite car?
Any Nissan Maxima. Hated working on them.
That's the right answer.
Okay. That's a good answer. I used to work on those too a long time ago. Jed, what is your least favorite car?
You're not gonna ask the one next to me?
Jeffrey?
Yeah.
No, I'm still
I'm
thinking.
gonna save his for last.
I'm still thinking.
Okay.
I've owned a lot of cars, a lot of different stuff. Can I have a second?
Yeah.
Another second? I need a few seconds actually.
Jeffrey.
Hold on, I'm
The
still
third?
thinking too.
I like a lot of different stuff. Oh man, that's a tough one.
I would say my least favorite car, if you want to call it in the vintage era. And the graphics were cool. I know why they had to build it, but the Mustang Cobra 2s.
Oh, those were all right. They were just Pintos.
I know. But it was like,
But they were V8 Pintos.
Dean,
See,
a
they
moment
never
of
put a
silence
V8
for
in the
the
Pacer. If they ever put a V8 in the Pacer, I might like them a little better.
Dean says a moment of silence for the AMC. I actually had a 68 AMX 390 Go Pack car, but I also had another AMX. It was a 60. No, sorry, that was a 68 AMX. I had a 69 AMX vintage build.
I got my answer.
I should have never gotten rid of this car.
No, you shouldn't have.
Man, that hurts.
I got my answer.
Yes.
Let's hear it.
I don't like the style of the '69 Camaros. Honestly,
Wow.
that might hurt. I don't like it.
Don't like a 69
You don't like
Camaro?
a 69 Camaro?
I like
No,
your
I don't like
son,
the
Jeff.
body style.
Hey, Jeffrey, I can somewhat agree with. Okay, here's why I don't like. I like the '69 Camaro. Here's why it's my least favorite of the Gen 1s is because they took the wheel well and squared it off, where the 67 and
Yeah.
68 were rounded, and you could get some of the classic big tires underneath.
I never noticed that.
Yeah,
Yep.
because like there's the '69s, like they just seem like the wheelbase is like way thinner and like blockier. I don't know. That's what it just seems to me.
Okay,
Okay.
here is. We are going to do.
73 Camaro EU. I love the second gen Camaros.
I got my answer, Jeff.
Yeah.
No offense to the world and all of the women in the world who owned one, including my mother, coupe Mustangs.
Yes.
Nothing
Yeah.
cool about it. It doesn't matter what you do with it. I'm sorry. A coupe Mustang is never going to be as good as a fastback. Sorry.
Oh yeah, the Coupe Mustangs were.
Or
They might
convertible
be.
for that matter. I'm just never been a convertible.
Okay. We are going to do a bonus trivia. Bonus trivia. Here we
Oh
go.
god.
Okay. Now, if you know your history on super stock factory cars, let me write something down real quick. The Hemi Darts were LO23 and the Hemi Barracudas were BO23. Now, in 1967, Dodge did a Hemi Coronet Superstock. From the factory, what was the designation of that?
Easy.
First four of the VIN designation.
Easy.
This is easy.
I don't know. But I'm also like basically 14 still. I mean,
This is a bonus question. So in
Come on, people.
1967, anybody for the bonus question?
I'm waiting for someone in chat. How do you not know this, people?
1968, Barracudas, BO23, 1968 Hemi darts were LO23. The 1967 Coronet RT factory superstocker was what? O23. The answer is not who cares about Mopars, but I get it. I'll find some Ford history.
I love Mopars, so I mean that kind of offends me.
Not M. Dean, you're close, but since you're from down under, flip that M upside down, buddy.
That's what I thought, Jeff. I just checked the Barracuda. I was pretty sure it's BO.
Man, you just gave it all away.
Or no, sorry, BO29.
Yeah, you're kind of bugging me with that one.
Sorry, Rick Norrington is correct. So, Rick, if you want to email that, you will get and Jason is too. If you guys want to email me your address, I will be sending out a vintage AHRA
Hey, Ed too.
Fleer and Ed vintage Fleer trading card, non-reproduction. These are original vintage, and there's some cool ones in here. Oh, here's one. Here's a good one for Brian. It's the Knoffel Pontiac Trans Am.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Now, I want Jed, because it's probably one of my favorite cars of all time. And a lot of people, whenever I bring it up, they make fun of it. Oh, it's only 273, blah, 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 blah. Jed, tell the crowd about the D-Dart.
The D-Dart was one of Chrysler's early attempts at small engine, small car, lightweight race car. They made 50 of them, which is a Chrysler tendency with their factory race cars. The D-Dart was created in 1966 to go D-stock racing. They were not fast by our time today. They were running high 13s, low 14s typically. But back then, for what the car was, it was a high compression 273. It was rated at 10.5 to 1 compression, had a 500 lift cam. Basically, they didn't do anything with the heads. They were stock casting 920 heads, which is actually my 273 and my Dart, my 66, is the exact same spec except for the cam. We changed the cam out. They came with a cast iron single plane 4-barrel intake, which is the same intake used on a lot of the 4-barrel variants of Darts in 66. Also used as a marine intake. But the D-Darts all came factory white with a red interior, bucket seats, no console, red interior, 4-speed. And they typically came with 456 or 48 gears. And a really good friend of mine who used to be a big Chevrolet fanatic, he saw a D-Dart run, and it converted him to being a Mopar guy for the rest of his life.
Oh, wow.
D-Darts were really cool. In fact, actually a neat fact is the same pistons, heads, intake, basically it's the same thing with Chrysler, with most of their race engines. That D-Dart engine is the same engine used in basically any 66 Dodge Dart GT. Same compression, same pistons, same heads, same intake. Only thing different is a cam and a set of headers. Doug's headers also made special headers for those cars. They're the D450 headers. You can still buy them today. They
That's
also
pretty
run
awesome.
a really clutch.
I'm going to try to find some Ford trivia here. So I know there's some Ford people out there.
You need to also.
Uh,
We need to ask what their favorite cars are, or did they already do that?
Okay,
Oh, yeah,
so this is the fastest classic muscle cars revealed. I'm trying to find the source on this real quick. This is probably from like old Motor Trend and all that type of crap. Okay, so here we go. It's Muscle Car Illustrated article. So we are going to go off of a little bit of Ford trivia here. I'll be right back. This is based on Muscle Car Illustrated getting their times from back in the day. Other than the 1966 Shelby Cobra, what was the fastest Ford production vehicle?
I know this one.
No,
Right.
Ford, Ed.
Ford.
We're going Ford. All right, Ford guys. Nathan, the Thunderbolt was not on there. I don't know if they consider that a production car or not. This has been muscle car era. It would have been the year. I will give you a hint on that. 1970,
Following God.
and it was not a Mustang. Very close, Rich. Not the Mustang, not the Boss. Not the Mercury Comet. Now, this is by Muscle Car
I know
Illustrated,
what
based
it
upon
is.
Motor Trend testing. 70 Torino
what it is.
Super Cobra Jet 429. Hey, what's going on, Peckerwood?
I missed the question. I needed tea.
The fastest production Ford vehicle, and this was based upon Motor Trend's timing. And these were production vehicles, so it wouldn't include, like, you know, the Hemi
Shelby's.
Dart or the Thunderbolt. Yeah. And actually, Ed was correct because the 446 pack recorded the fastest quarter mile time in the A12 cars for the Mopars. And that was kind of a cool thing.
I also realized I had the wrong microphone plugged in, so I've probably been
Hey, there's
quiet.
Dad. Chad from Square Body Stuff is in the house. He's got some cool stuff. He absolutely tore it up at the No Name Nationals in the burnout competition. Well, that might have been Stumpy, but Brian, what is the fastest car that you have owned?
You don't want to know.
Okay,
It was
other
a
Brian. What is the
78
fastest?
El Camino with a 400 small block.
Oh,
I'll be back.
nice. All right. Brian Reelan, what is the fastest car you have ever owned?
Still have it, the 70 Trans Am.
Jed?
Fastest car I've owned is my 2006 Dodge Magnum with the mighty 2.7. No, it's Jezebel. If the question was what was the fastest car I've ever gone in, would be my satellite street racing. That would have
Nice.
been a one-way trip to jail.
It's the fastest car you ever ridden in, Jed. I think you made it short about it.
Oh, that Tesla? No. Oh, man. Jeff, what about you?
The fastest car that I've owned? It'd probably be my Thunderbird right now. Before that was a 70 Dart Swinger with a pretty hot 340, super low gears, big cam.
What about that? What about that one truck that you had?
At AMX, it
Yeah,
wasn't street legal.
that's true.
Now,
Good point.
Yeah.
Fastest or quickest?
That's true. Quickest. Square body is, yeah, that's a good, very good point. We're going to do a little bit of trivia. Now, I was actually at the Mopar Indy swap meet last year, and I love all the vintage stuff. And one of the things I do like, this is probably a little bit oddball of me, I like vintage wheels and tires. You cannot beat the look of the vintage tires. And what was really neat in 1967, Carroll Shelby, they actually built a car, and it recently sold for like $2 million. it was the Shelby Super Snake. It was a 427 67 fastback GT500. And I got to find this article because I want to get it right. So, 1 second. I'm having a little bit of technical. Okay, here we go. So, in 1967, they built a. What is going on with my computer? Hold on.
A lot of things, probably.
No, I mean, it's just me, Jeffrey. You know how it goes. I hate technology.
Yeah.
So they actually did a 1967 Shelby Super Snake to test out a Goodyear tire, of all things. And I'm trying to get the article on here because what was kind of neat was they designed a car to test a tire, and the car sold recently for like $2.5 million. The Goodyear tire, of all things, was a little itty bitty tire. They're super rare. And anyway, I can't find the article. Anyway, they drove this car like constantly for I don't know how many miles, but Jed, I actually found one of those. It is the Goodyear Thunderbolt tire.
Oh,
Yeah, super rare. And I found it at a Mopar swap meet for like nothing.
wow.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Jeff. I like all sorts of old things like that. I got a pair of I actually bought a set of honeycomb Trans Am wheels. I wanted the wheels, but I really wanted the freaking, what were they? Bobby Unser Golden Tiger Claw tires on them. They had cool like embossments on them. They had like a claw from a tiger on them. And it's like, that's just a cool freaking tire. I still have them.
Yeah. I had a set of they went to a guy that had an old Malibu wagon, like a 70 Chevy Malibu wagon, and he put a big block in it, and it was kind of like the cool patinaed ratty muscle car. And I'm trying to think of the name of these tires, but they were a G60 and they had this really funky design on there. And I found a set of these 4 tires. I used to have a very large collection of vintage tires, and I sold them to him, and he put them on there. It just made the car pop, and they were like brand new. Now, here's something cool, a little bit of trivia, and the only reason I do know this is because I had a set. Now they're sitting on a period correct original Survivor 440 GSS Dart in Chicago. So Montgomery Ward's sold a tire that was called, JCPenney sold a tire that was called Penny's AFX. It was a brand. AFX was a brand. And they actually made performance parts, shifters, gauges, tacks, tires, everything, even wheels. I had an NOS set of the 8.5 14 cheater slicks back in the day. That would have been period correct for like a dart because the wheel wells. I found them locally because we had a Penny's automotive store. Who made those tires for Penny's? They were exactly the same tire, but just different letters.
That's a good question.
Mickey Thompson. They were the same as the Mickey Thompson Challenger drag slicks. They were made for JCPenney.
I thought it was supposed to be trivia.
Oh. Okay. So my bad. I know. So here's the thing is I had found a set of NOS Kragers in small bolt, right? And I mounted those on there, and I had a set of Atlas Supreme 77514s, and they had a red and white dual stripe around it. They were NOS, mounted them on there.
Wow.
Absolutely beautiful on an A-body. I never did anything with them, and my friend up in Chicago, who's got the original Mr. Norm's van, he's got quite a few Grant Spalding cars. He really wanted them for this 440 GSS Dart. It's like the F whatever copper, white top, white interior. Has all the correct day 2 parts on it still. Cleaned it up, and they're on that car now. It's a very cool car.
Did you feature that in that video?
See, that's why my car. Yeah. Was the car in that video? No.
Oh,
No.
okay.
I'll send you some pictures. I'll send you some pictures of it. Now we do need a trivia question. We need our trivia question.
We need to talk about favorite cars after this trivia question.
Cleaning cars?
No.
Favorite cars.
Favorite cars? Okay. Okay, so yeah, let's do favorite cars. When you were a kid, and everyone on this chat's a kid still, I understand that. But when you're actually of the age of a child, what was your favorite Hot Wheel?
Me?
Anybody?
Oh.
My favorite was always the C3 Corvettes.
I remember that I had a Viper Pro Stock.
Yeah. Mine was the Dixie Challenger.
I have one of those, actually.
Did you have it?
I guess I always was attracted to like the funny cars because you could actually lift the body off and you had the little engine.
Yeah.
You know what? What a car I actually really want is one of those Grand Nationals.
Jeffrey wants a Grand National really, really, really bad.
Let's start a GoFundMe for him.
Yeah, White Trash the Bandit Trans Am, that was definitely a good one too. The Monteverde High. Dean, I'd love to see that. In fact, let me Google that. Dodge vans. Yep, modded van culture. Actually, the modded van culture, that is definitely one of the coolest things ever. Jeffrey, do you remember the van I did a couple years ago?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That was pretty neat.
Man, I wish you would have not sold
69
that. If you wouldn't
HLS.
have sold that, it would have been amazing.
I know. I know. I had
I love that thing.
a very cool. I had a 3/4 ton Ram van, and I did it like the ultimate concert wagon. It had everything was really cool, but it had Land Rover benches in it, table, all that type of stuff. It was nice. It was red and black, man. The headliners and all that was like bandana print. It's cool, and I sold it.
Well, it seems like you did a lot of
hit.
stuff before you had a YouTube channel.
I did a 99% of what I've done was way before I had a YouTube channel.
Yeah, I think we started making this plan like a year ago, and then it only happened like a couple months later. You first wanted to do a Cobra Jet, but then you changed it.
I did. So the original plan, and I had the shaker, and it's now on a Mach 1, but I was going to build a period correct Cobra Jet 429. Actually, I wanted to do the Super Cobra Jet, and once I started peeking around on prices of all that Cobra Jet stuff, I was like, wow, that's a little bit too much money. It was cheaper to build what I built. Okay, I'm gonna try to find this article. I want to, if it'll actually work. Come on, computer. Here we go. Let me see if I can do this. Is that? Add to stream. Here you go, Jed.
Oh.
There's that car I
Yeah.
was telling you about that they built. But yeah,
That's a good looking
there's
car.
the
I mean,
it is.
I challenge anybody to say that's not a good looking car.
Yeah. It was fitted with the passenger car 775 Goodyear Thunderbolt white wall tires. The Super Snake drove 500 miles and an average of 142 miles an hour and retained 97% of the original tread. The whole story is absolutely cool, but they built that car to test these cars, for Goodyear, which is just crazy because if you look at that 500 miles on those little tires at 142 miles an hour.
That's impressive.
Scary.
It is. So when I saw that tire at Mopar Swap Meet in Indy, I was like, is that for sale? And the guy's like, yeah, you want it? And I'm like, yeah, I want it like bad. I didn't lead on to that like that. And, when he told me the price, which was that, Jed, $20. Yeah, I'll take it.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing you again. We're talking about maybe bringing Anna this year. And
Nice.
Dad.
I had a blast last year, and it was fun, and I'll be doing another Ford. So we got someone else joining in here. Let's see here, Leighton Welding.
What up?
Welcome.
What's going on, everyone?
Not much, just chilling out.
I don't know how to answer that question. I don't have enough brain cells left.
What's everyone got going on the rest of the weekend?
Speaking of Firebirds or Trans Ams.
Yeah.
Got my attention.
Firebirds and Trans Ams are always fun. Here you go, Brian. Brian Reelan. There's two Brians on here, so we'll just go BNR and Dust Devil. So, out of all the cars that you've owned, what was the one that gave you the most amount of problems?
My 1977 Ford LTD2 was actually my first car. 302 C4 transmission.
Was that FMX?
No, it was a C4 automatic. Just all my own doing, abusing it.
I think everybody with their first cars abused them. All right, so we need some trivia. I've been asking a lot of. Where are you going, Jeffrey?
I'm going to bed.
You said you're going? Well, good, because you got to get up in the morning and do yard work.
I do?
No, I'm
do
just
now.
kidding. You're going to be here in hell tomorrow. You do now.
Oh, great.
All right, so here's a question. Okay, so we do have people on here. Ford, we talk about, the 1999 Bronco, too. Those were junk. Okay, you stay on until 12, and then we throw water on you, and you turn into a gremlin, right? You eat all the chicken and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Is that what happens?
Yeah.
You've seen that movie, too?
Yep.
All right.
I think so.
Okay, Jed, here's a question, because I know I've been to your shop. You got all this crazy cool vintage Chrysler, Hemi, and all that type of stuff. What is one thing that you had a chance to buy that you passed on that you now massively regret?
Magnesium Hemi cross ram at Indy a couple years ago. I had the guy talk down to $700 original that had the diamond mods done to it, where they cut the cross ram up, fix it, and weld it back together. I passed on it because it looked like it had porosity holes in welds. And if anybody in the chat knows anything about welding magnesium, it's not cheap and it's harder than hell to find someone who can do it. But looking back on it, I wish I would have just went ahead and bought it, because I could have hung it on the wall even if it was junk.
Yeah. I had a chance to get a legit 413 max wedge engine in pieces. I passed, and it was at the time it seemed like a lot of money, but in today's money, garbagely dirt cheap.
Yeah. Oh, I guess that's the other thing I should say. It had the original Hemi Cross Ram race carburetors on it, the special Hollies,
Yeah.
the 770s. Those were worth the money.
Shell is talking
Yeah.
about 67 Mustang. Those are good cars. That's a sleek design. Actually, I like the 66 fastback because it's smaller, and I would love to put a 427 in one of those. That would just be a rowdy amount of fun. Chef Shea Tree, he's got one Regal on his channel. I'll have to check that out. Jeffrey, before he goes to bed, why do you want a Grand National?
Because of the motor inside of it, and also the body style.
It is slick looking. So when I was about his age,
The body style.
yeah. The
It's
you like
actually
that turbo
410 HP, the 87 GMX. That's what the true power is. It's way underrated.
So when I was about Jeffrey's age or a little bit younger, there's a guy that my dad knew. He was actually a state cop, but he was a huge Mopar collector, and he had mainly B bodies, and he had a ton of them. But one of his, at the time, many years ago, one of his drivers for fun was a real GNX car. And when I was his age, you see that, and it's slick, and it was just absolutely cool. Absolutely cool.
I'll tell you a funny one. I have this, we'll call him a friend for lack of argument. When he was a rock star, he sent his parents money, and he told him he wanted a Grand National GNX. And he sent them the money to buy it. His parents went to go buy him this GNX, and instead they bought him a bright red Fiero because they let the salesman tell him it's faster, it's more sporty, and chicks dig Fieros. Imagine that being your story. That you got a Fiero instead of a GNX.
I would be very upset.
That's like getting a 6-cylinder coupe Mustang instead of a 71 Hemi 4-speed CUDA. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I think me and that salesman would have had a little talk.
Yeah. I think
Sam said, "Hey, did someone say G body?" Yep, sure did. Now I do like the G body stuff because like there for a long time it wasn't much, and now if you look at the platform of it, it's a hell of a race car, and you see a lot of people doing really cool stuff with it, like Ryan from Streetcar Chronicles. But man, the Grand Nationals are just absolutely cool. Now, this is where I'm going to go a little bit of LS on you guys. If I could get a Grand National free of drivetrain, I would love to build a 4.8 LS. I think 60 over, 30 over, make it the 302 cubic inch with twin turbo, and keep it looking like a stock Grand National. That would be a fun car.
That's probably what I'd do with one.
I know that would absolutely piss off the purists in the Grand National worlds. And actually, I worked at a dealership, Jed, and a friend of mine worked at a Chrysler dealership, the sister dealership. And he's like, "Hey, man, we got a used Grand National." And this was like 98, 97. And I went over there and I test drove the car, never even popped the hood, and it was a dog. I'm like, what the hell? Well, someone had blown up the engine and they just put a regular 3.8 in it. Paint was kind of jacked up, but the price, especially at the time, it was right. And in today's price, it was like $2,600. But turbo 273 Challenger.
That'd be different.
That would be cool.
I'm not a convertible fan, but it's been a couple years. But did you guys ever see I want to say it was in Mopar Collector's Guide magazine. It was an all original one owner 70 Challenger convertible. It was red interior, red steel wheels, and had a slant six in it. Factory car.
That'd been cool.
It was neat.
I like cars like that. My buddy Jesse actually has a really cool Challenger. Thank God he's decided to sell it. I can't remember if it's a real deputy or not, but it's vitamin C orange, burnt orange interior. It's got the SE interior package, a white vinyl top, and it's a slant six 3-speed manual Challenger 70. If anybody doesn't know, all e-bodies are all 4 shifted. No column shift in an e-body, at least in a Challenger. At least on 3-speed. So it's on the floor.
I have one of those 3-speed.
I think that would be a killer just drive around car. And plus, it's rare. I know it's not fast or exciting, but if you're just going to toot around and just think about how unique it is. But I'm just weird like that.
Yeah, I like the weird oddball stuff. You know, I mean, a lot of that stuff is just so fun. You know, like hell in the Chargers, a slant six was a base engine. Can you imagine coming across just a total base model slant six 68, 69 Charger? That would be a cool car.
I drive it every day. That's one of the reasons why I kept Jezebel's original 318 is someday it'll probably go back in the car. I'm not saying I'll give up my 4-speed for a damn automatic, but I have my numbers matching 318 two-barrel to my 70 Charger.
There was a 73 satellite. There was a 73 satellite on Facebook a while back, and it was a slant 6.3 on the tree car.
Wow. One of those.
Oh, wow.
I'd never seen one before.
Wow. I have one of those 3-speed manual transmissions laying around somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, those transmissions ain't worth much, but I think just that whole package of that car is cool.
I want to say in a lot of the 340 cars, the 3-speed manual, the 4-speed was an option. One of the 6-pack 71 Demons that was made out of Grand Spalding that had the Seagal tri-power air cleaner and the actual Corvette carbs. I think it's a Plum Crazy one, or that purple color, and it's got houndstooth interior. It's a factory 3-speed manual 340 car. It is absolutely cool.
My buddy's got one. He's got it's a 70 Dart 340, was originally a 3-speed. Somebody put a 4-speed in it. Bench seat, no power steering, 340, 3-speed, no power brakes, with air.
Hey, Dad.
I wanted to go and be comfortable. That's all he cared about.
I found a 2.4 cycle turbocharger.
You did?
Yeah.
Send it to me.
Well, it's on the MacBook.
Okay, we'll save it.
Okay.
My 66 Coronet's got a 273 2-barrel in it. And obviously I'm going to go a big block, but I've got some longer term plans for that 273. And I think you know where I'm going with it, Jed.
Yeah. That 273 has that really good forged crank that everybody wants for a small block build.
Yes.
And the rocker arms. And
I should have bought last year from my buddy up there, and he doesn't have it anymore. He had the original chrome air cleaner, the little one and all that, and he had the valve covers, and I didn't buy them. And I had texted him. He doesn't have them anymore. Oh, man. I really, 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 really should have bought that because that's a couple rare pieces.
What, the ones with like the aluminum fins on top of them?
Yeah. And then the little air.
People want a mint for rusted out piece of junk.
I know. I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but Big Block 402 did the tear down of his engine.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. And that had some major carnage going on in it. I mean, he was just reaching up there, pulling out chunks of everything, dropped the pan, bent rod. I mean, you name it. It was pure carnage. Now he's talking about the cam is messed up, and I feel bad because that was a new roller cam. So definitely a lot of carnage going on. But I'm sure he's going to build something much better, much more power. That was
When you
quick.
break stuff, you make it better.
You know, that's what was crazy is Candy Cane and Chad Squarebody. Those trucks were really surprisingly just quick. You know, I mean, the burnouts they did in them were just awesome.
Yeah.
Brian Reeland, I'm telling you, the burnout competition, I think you'd have really liked that because it was a big open area at the end, far end of the track, and we set it up with water barriers, and it was just pure carnage, man. There was quite a few cars that went out there and did it. It was fun. William Charger 383, he had a 60. I called it the ratty 68 bullet Charger, and that's what it reminded me of. And he did a tribute to his dad. His dad had passed away, and he did some burnouts, pulled that thing right in front of the crowd, and his burnout was still smoking on the pavement when everyone else was doing theirs. He won it.
Yeah.
Oh, I just mentioned this to William, who was
The Mopars always did the best burnouts, Jeff. Always did.
I'm not going to say anything bad because a lot of guys did some crazy, awesome burnouts. I mean, as far as, you know, the Australian style, which is now all the rage.
Yeah.
But what I love is William won with a good old-fashioned standing American-style burnout. He beat out all that crazy Aussie stuff.
Yeah. I think everyone did really, really good burnouts. Like Blake, obviously, pure carnage. The Dirty Hippie, that was good.
Yeah. Jeremy's
That did a lot of damage, too.
Torque Racing Production, who won the overall event, that Camaro was just bouncing off the rev limiter the whole time, just frying the tires. It was fun to watch. It was really fun to watch. The whole thing was fun, you know, getting out there and seeing all those cars run. A lot of really, really surprisingly quick cars. The one that really surprised me how quick it really was NSB Super B. That thing, I think he ran a best of 747, pretty quick. 355 gears, man, 4-speed, 440. Sprayed it. It was really neat.
You know who impressed me was Brad from Poor Boys Garage, that yellow Roadrunner.
Yeah.
Oh, he hammered on that thing, and that's something he pulled out of the weeds a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, but I'm gonna go.
Hey, Jeffrey, you go to bed.
Yep.
Yeah, he's really wanting to get into drag racing now, big time.
It'll happen.
Yeah.
It's a good time to get into it.
Heaven's Mopars is in. Hey guys, now that I found this live, got to go to bed per wife's instructions. I'm trying to pick up a 69 Barracuda Formula S273 auto. Very cool car. Hey, Dean.
The fastback.
Dean, have a good night, my friend. What was the fastest ET at No Name Nationals? It was Redbeard's methanol fueled demon. I don't know what that was. Do you remember anybody?
Was it the fastest?
He had the quickest ET, yeah.
I can probably text Daniel and see what it was if he remembers. That engine makes a lot of freaking power.
I've got a good guess of what it was.
Gonna say goodnight, M&M. It was fast because he won the quickest ET and he won the 28 by 10.5.
Oh, he did.
That car hooked.
Oh, and he stayed up literally all night before the 28-10-5, changing his tires over to the 20. He went down one tire heights from a 29 10.5 to a 28 10.5 just to compete. Spent all night setting his tires up just for that competition.
I guarantee it running in the 550s, 560s. Just
Yeah, I
from
want to
watching.
say it's in that range. Yeah.
And Daniel actually told me, and I don't know if he's changed his mind on that, but he said that
Good night,
was
Ed.
not. He said that was one of his least favorite tracks. I mean, he loved the event, but he said the track was just all over the place. He couldn't hook for shit there. And I've always heard, you know, like Brian, you know, that track's got really killer prep, but I don't know if they maybe just didn't prep it as good as normal.
Well, the
That
thing
was-
is, you had all different styles of cars and tires running on that track all day.
That is true.
That was the flattest surface I've ever been on.
I mean,
Everywhere else is more like
It was definitely.
an outlaw track or streets. But I did see Daniel doing some no preparation.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was old videos or if that was new videos.
No, he just did that. I think he just did those races, and he would have won. He was the fastest guy out there at that no prep deal, but they called him on a red light and they had no proof. And he ended up, just as for fun, he raced the guy who won the event overall, that no prep deal. And he beat the guy like 3 car lengths or some shit. It was no competition. That car is a straight up machine, and Daniel's a hell of a driver.
Yep, Street Car Chronicles is right. Them radials, the street radials will destroy the surface.
So, Bigfoots and Mopars, Jack Pine Savage said he skated on his last pass. What tires are you running on that? Kind of interested.
I'll be back.
Big Block 402 has got a 454 to build now. Hell yeah.
All right.
That's a good engine. Yeah, I mean, there was cars hooking, the cars spin all over, but Four Boy's car, that thing was just a rocket, man. He was on it. And he doesn't even have that much drag racing experience. Like legit at a track, and he was just killing it.
You notice though,
It was
this next
fun watching
video after that. You know, so this next video after that, though, he was talking about 2 events that he wanted to go to. He was showing flyers for drag racing events. He's hooked.
Yeah, he
He's
called
hooked
me
big time.
last week, and yeah, he's absolutely hooked. We were talking about some drag race events. I just wish I was closer to the southeast and the south this time of year.
So I'm saying
What is-
next summer we need to get out to Havana.
Yes.
Me and you need to at least get out to a test and tune in Havana.
Yeah. So I get my new transmission in November. My rear end's already in. Most of my exhaust stuff is in. I got the rest of the suspension stuff ordered. I'm not sure. Part of me, I've been talking to a couple different people, possibly E85 conversion or a methanol injection kit from Snow Performance.
I was thinking about
Not
E85.
100%.
E85 is the way to go.
Where you're at?
So I talked to Brian today about E85 on that. It's just need to make sure I get good E85 and
Yeah, can you even get E85 up where you're at? I can't hardly find it down here.
it's well in Bloomington, yes, but my car rarely goes to Bloomington. The little town I live outside of, no. So NSB, we're hoping to dip into the 5s. We had to go to suspension school. Yeah, that car was pretty badass, but yeah, so just playing around with some stuff like that. And I got to get a converter made. It's gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice with that trans brake. I'm really gonna be surprised, like if I can get it to hook really good.
You got to put a
I'm
front
glad
motor
it-
plate in that, Jeff. Rubber mounts aren't going to take it too long. Now with the trans brake,
Yeah, I know.
they're going to give
That's-
up.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
glad NSB hooked me up with the front wheels for my car. Now they match. So it makes the whole car look 100 times better.
Biggest tire he can get underneath there. That's a good looking car.
It is.
Can't you all make some proper EAT by AHM bootleg processes? Actually, yeah, you can. You definitely can. There's a guy named Thumper, the fat, sweaty guy up in Michigan. He makes all kinds of it. Oddly enough, my brother-in-law owns a brewery, and I've talked to him many times about getting into the still industry just for that, and he won't do it. It's too much of a going by the law. What's going on, Tim? Yeah, you can definitely make your own fuels. And you know what? That should become more of a common thing. I think you'll start seeing. Yeah, Brian, you're right though. The 85 is probably the way to go on that car because Illinois' gas taxes are ridiculous. I mean, right now with a suspended gas tax and lower fuel prices, it's $5, and then I add the additive I have to run, so you're looking at $8.50 a gallon, and that thing drinks gas.
They have suspended gas tax in Illinois right now.
Yeah.
You
That's
realize
why it seems a little bit cheaper, but January 1, it's going to go back into effect with their graduated tax increase. So, of course, not going to get into politics, but after the election and January 1, the gas is going to skyrocket. Dean
you realize
Stevenson,
I go over to Missouri every day and gas is legitimately over $1 cheaper in Missouri.
Yep.
And
like
that's
it,
with
Dean.
a suspended gas tax in Illinois.
We're heavily taxed here. Sucks.
Dean said maybe some Marilyn Manson style absinthe. I don't drink anymore. I haven't for a very long time. But the last time I drank, I was in a burlesque bar, 1920s themed place at an old theater in the French Quarter of New Orleans. And they actually had the green fairies, if anybody knows about absinthe, it was an absinthe bar coming out of the ceiling. And it was just, I'll just say, a very crazy night. That was the last time I drank. Yeah, and this was not the American absinthe stuff. This was like a legit style speakeasy place. And it was crazy. Absolutely crazy night. $3.59 there. Grab some rye bread and drain it. I'll tell you a little bit more about that place, Jed. So I was in the French Quarter with a bunch of friends, and this guy, Fear and Loathing. Yep. Hey, Peckerwood, you might like this shirt then. Too weird. It's definitely right up your alley. I was this guy I was staying at a very fancy place, and it was an older guy and his wife. They're like, hey, we got these. They're expensive. You need to go to this address. We're going to be leaving town early. You can have them. And I'm like, this doesn't sound legit, right? This is after midnight, so So I tell my buddies, hey, we're going to go to this place, and we find this old building, and it's like an old theater. Guy comes outside. We show him this card. We get in there, and it was just unreal, right? And he's like, oh, you guys got the private room. So imagine like an old stage, and then like seating. Well, the seating was like the bar. The stage was behind the bar with a band playing. And then like, those, like in the old theaters had like the private viewing areas. Well, those were private, like green fairy rooms. And there was like, you're sitting up there and like these cages would come down with the ladies that were green fairies serving the absinthe over everything. And yeah.
I've always heard that absinthe tastes like black licorice.
It does.
It does.
Yeah, I couldn't drink it. I can't stand that stuff. Oh, the thought of it makes me want to throw up.
It was we had a flight at like 9 a.m. and we left that place, and obviously it was not supposed to be open that late, but we left at like 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
It was whew. It was a night to remember, I can tell you that. Yeah, it definitely was an old piano, and they were definitely playing it hot, but it was just like out of a movie, Jed. Like I probably can't legally say on YouTube like that whole night.
oh, dude, I've told way worse stories from my partying days on YouTube.
Well, yeah. Well, okay. If anybody's, I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent here. If anybody's ever been to the French Quarter, there's an area called Jackson Square. It's the park right in front of the St. Louis Cathedral. Okay. It's beautiful. But at night, it's like the hippie area, like all the leftovers that tried going down there for whatever reason and are just like street freaks now, right? And anything you would ever want in your life, you could find it there. Okay. So when we were down there, I had a friend from India with me, a friend from Ireland, England, and friends from Texas and Chicago. It was this big guys trip, right? The kid from India moved here and really good guy. I don't care what anybody thinks about certain things, but he's just like, hey, I've never done LSD before. I got to try that. Out of nowhere, we're like, oh, okay. So I found him some, and I've been to the French Quarter a lot, right? So I found him some, right? And I told him, I said, now, if you're going to do this, you're going to have to let us know, right? Because if you've never done it, you're going to freak out. You know, oh, we'll let you know. Well, he takes it like a half an hour before we get to that green fairy room and doesn't tell anybody. So you can imagine the scene like that was in there. And the worst part about it was we couldn't find him, right? So we're trying to find him. And everything's brick there. And obviously people, you know, you don't want to be laying down on the brick in New Orleans. So we'll go outside and we see these two cops on a corner. And we see him on the ground. We're thinking, oh, shit, right? Like he got into a fight or something. No. This is when we finally put two and two together, you know. He was on the ground telling the police officers that he was swimming in the bricks and Jesus was giving him a back rub. So not only did we find him, and we had to get back to our suite, get all our crap packed, right, and get him out of there and get to the airport. And he was flying back with me to O'Hare. Try getting that guy on a plane.
Wow.
You know what's
I got him on a plane. I got him calmed down, you know, like he was kind of like half wore off at the time, and we were like up in the air, and he's just like, it was so bad.
I'll tell you what's messed up is I know a cop in New Orleans. I play video games with him online all the time. And that's probably not the craziest thing those guys had heard that night.
No, it probably wasn't. But the problem is like they were seriously wanting to call like the paddy wagon to get him to a mental home. I'm like, no, he's fine. You know, perfectly fine. You know, he's good. Yeah, that's barely against the law down there. But
coming from Mr. Bigfoots and Mopars, I saw what you tried to do to poor Ryan Barsness that night on the air mattress.
So like the next day, you know, he calls me and he's like, and you got to remember, this guy grew up in India, like his whole life was school to become a doctor. And he gets over here, he's a doctor, he hated it, went back to school and got whatever, you know, financial world. Like the guy is very straight laced. He just got that hair up his ass. He wanted to try it. And dude, he thought it was like the best thing ever. I'm like, no, you need to stay away from that. Like, you're lucky you didn't end up in a mental home that night. Now,
Rick is right.
Yes.
Bad decisions make the best stories.
Yeah. But that was a fun night. I've had many a fun nights in New Orleans. I actually took my daughter and her best friend to the French Quarter in 2020. And that was a different experience. That's when the riots had gone through, you know? and the place was just, and I didn't realize how bad it was. And there's a bar there. It used to be a blacksmith shop. It's one of the oldest bars and buildings left in America, and it's supposedly haunted and all that. And it's kind of like a really cool place. I don't, like I said, I don't drink, but it's a cool bar, but it's got a lot of history to it, right? And I don't know if any of you guys have ever been to New Orleans or not, but it's usually like, even though it's old and whatever, but there's always nice flowers and all this. This place was like a war zone because of what happened, and so it was a little bit weird. And and I'm like, hey, let's just go down there. We'll grab a burger because they had burgers and stuff there. And it's called Lafatite's Blacksmith Shop. And there was a lot of protest stuff going on. We walk up there, and the whole building was surrounded by Hell's Angels protecting it because there was a threat that somebody was going to burn it down in another riot. The whole block around there was nothing but Hell's Angels. So, yeah. Dean, I found the 323 LSD is the best kind. Limited slip differential. I'm guessing not. But yeah, New Orleans is definitely a really fun time. And that still gets brought up because we're planning on going there next summer, another guys trip. And we're like, now, Doc, because that's what we call him, you're going to be babysat.
I've only ever been to New Orleans once. And it was like right after Katrina, and I was there with a youth group on a youth mission to kind of clean up. So I didn't get to like experience the fun part of New Orleans. It was kind of all
the city.
Now the thing is like New Orleans, like a lot of people. I've been to Mardi Gras, and in my opinion, it's not a good representation of it because while yes, a lot of people party there. There's a lot of historic stuff to do, like St. Louis 1 and 2 cemeteries, like the tours of that, which is neat. Just all the cool, really, really cool stuff there. Now, the funny thing is, and I still have them, and I am on the little bit of a superstitious side. So Doc, the Indian guy, he's actually pretty devout Catholic of all things. And St. Louis Cathedral is probably built in the 1790s, right? Huge, ornate Catholic church, very historic place. So we get there, and he wanted to go there and do like whatever and get a blessing and do confessions. All right. I told him I'd go with him. He wanted someone to go with him. So I get in that little confession booth with him, right? And he's confessing these sins of like things he's done and this and blah, blah, blah. And this guy's like being dead serious. And I went to a private school, and I just leaned over and I said, hey, Father, forgive me for the sins I have yet to commit, but I will this weekend. And the guy started laughing, and he opens the door and hands me a set of rosaries. And I'm not Catholic, and to this day, I've kept him as a good luck charm.
That's great.
That was every time I go to New Orleans, I always have a really good time. Really, really good time no matter what. But back to cars. 2023 No Name Nationals. Jed, you going to come? Bring a car if you can?
Yeah, as long as the event stays the same place, gas is not any more expensive. I'm planning on, and I don't blow up the Barracuda.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Mr. Brinker?
Oh, I'll be there.
Good.
Yeah, I'm going to be there with revenge.
Leighton, obviously.
Yep, I'll be there.
Mr.
With
Real?
the Aspen.
You gonna bring the heat in the Trans Am or the truck?
Both.
Both? There you go. That's a great answer, actually. If anybody hasn't seen, he's actually rebuilt 90, is it a 94?
97.
97 Chevy truck, 454. Pretty stout.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Peckerwood is coming. So he is from overseas also. And he's going to probably just have all kinds of fun. Aaron, be prepared. It's fun. It's chaos. It's a lot of fun.
Camp out. Don't get a hotel room. Camp out. I'm telling you.
I need Aaron to bring me a 73 Ford Falcon XB GT
Nice.
while he's on the boat. Just bring me one of those.
Jeff, can I show something on here that I just found on Facebook Marketplace?
Oh God.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Oh,
What do you
Tim
do?
Mopar 67 is going to bring Doobie, which is, I believe, a Ford Crown Victoria. I'll be bringing
hope
some chaos.
that.
That's excellent. Yeah. How do I do that, Brian?
It should have come up down at the bottom.
Oh, wait a minute. I have absolutely no idea. Oh, yeah. Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh,
Look at that.
I
Whoa.
like the wheels. Those are Rocket racing wheels. They make those now.
Yeah, those are new.
That thing is crazy. I
love
would
that.
love, even though that's got a
Badass.
lot of redness
Most
to it, I would still.
If someone doesn't like that,
$25,000, bro.
that's just cool. I don't know how anybody could not like that.
70s funky cool.
That is. That is really cool. I like that. I'm going to try something real quick. I don't know if it's going to work or not. Nope, it's not going to work. Anyway, I'll be bringing the T-Bird. I'm going to start on my 2024 car this spring, maybe this winter, if I can get my mom to clean out the back garage and be able to get that car out, because you can't even see it. How much is that? Aaron's wanting to know.
25,000 is what the guy
Ooh.
wants for it.
Ooh, Mark's going to bring 2 cars. Mohawk's bringing a Scamp, maybe his Harley. I think you're going to see more motorcycles there next year. I really do. Just missing eye candy coming through the hood. Rick, I agree. That thing needs either an 871 or a tunnel ram. Does look a lot of fun. Absolutely looks like a ton of fun. I had a blast, even though I didn't get to race what I wanted to race. I still had it. I did race Kim's Fix-It's things, monkey bike, which was fun. At least I got to get on the track. It was fun. And actually, I think the best part was, as far as the event, finally getting to meet everybody and just hang out. I didn't have enough time.
That was absolutely the best.
Yeah.
There almost needs to be a day dedicated just to hanging out.
I think that's what Thursday is going to end up being, because everybody's going to show up to get tech done. And
yeah, I think, well, Thursday is definitely tech day, according to John. And I think there does need to be, in my opinion, like a big organized meet and greet, like maybe Thursday evening or something. I know we did it at Lambert's, but actually have something at the track, pretty neat, because that would be, square body, tunnel cram.
I didn't get to spend nearly enough time with each individual friend. These are all my regular friends, and these are all the people I've never got to talk to and really hang out with, and it was hard trying to too much.
So yeah,
I didn't get down there where Jed and everyone was down that way a whole lot. I was more up towards the staging lanes and about halfway up, but I did get to meet Jed and Redbeard.
Ain't a whole lot to meet with me.
Hey, Aaron, the nice part about it is we'll know you by your accent. We will.
That's true.
I mean, I do hope we could talk some bigger channels into showing up, just because it'd be cool.
It would be, but at the same time, it's kind of neat having this group of automotive island misfits of toys.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what YouTube is anyway, if you really look at it.
I had fun going back and forth with Brad, because he was telling me I was the celebrity with the biggest channel there. And I was like, no, it's you, Brad. We just went back and forth for like fucking 5 minutes. It was fun.
Oh, Aaron saying he doesn't have an accent. Okay, you might not over there. agreed upon.
He
But
has
I
an
think we
accent.
should all
He's been on
focus
my
on
lives
working.
before.
We all need to work on our own fake Australian accent. So when he shows up, he's just like, I didn't even leave.
just yeah. But it's gonna be neat because we've got, I think, a handful of people coming from overseas. Automotive Carnage, he's got a pretty decently large channel over in Australia, and he just bought a farm. I talked to him quite a bit. He's a nice guy, and he does all kinds of neat stuff. And he really wants to come next year. Obviously, Aaron is coming, so that's gonna be kind of neat. That's definitely gonna be kind of neat. Canadians, I really hope Nolan from Wild Rose gets to come. He blew up his transmission right before the event. And I was really hoping to see that Studebaker at that 455 run. He was sending me some cool little sidebar stuff from some tracks, and that thing was quick. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know that.
So what's going on with the funny car, Jeff?
Nothing right now.
Nothing. It's just sitting there
Just sitting.
being funny.
It's a funny situation. I got to get this done before I do anything else. Plus, the guy that's going to be doing it with me, he needs to fork up some money to do that. And also, if we're going to do it, he needs to get me the chassis. So,
Yeah. Well, you're just going to turn that into a cackle car anyway, right?
Yeah, that's what I want to do really, really bad.
It'd be cool as hell.
Actually, who's been reaching out to me occasionally on that car is Kenny Safford's son. He's got some really good videos and stuff. It's a very unique car. Very unique car.
You don't say.
Yeah. Rick, I think Andy would pull a good wheelie in his truck. He has a friend that's got a Ford truck, and it's 460 base sprayed, and it is just very, very fast. It just looks like an old short bed Ford truck. Jed, the Barely Cuda is looking good. Yes, the Barely Cuda is the definitive, iconic, ratty muscle car, not even track car.
It's just another car from my head.
I think it's neat.
Well, and he hadn't even seen the pictures that you, Jeff, and Brian have seen with the exhaust and the rear end set right. Nobody's seen all that stuff yet.
Yeah.
It is cool. It is really, really neat.
But I hate to do it to you, Jeff, but I got a lot of work to do tomorrow. I got to bow out, man.
I'm going to close this down in about 5 minutes anyway, because I have a lot of work to do tomorrow myself.
Don't do that. No,
I know.
Like it's fine. Well, that you're
No,
closing.
I had actually wrote myself a note saying stop by 12 because I got to get up at 6.
3 hours. Those are rookie numbers.
Oh, Brian, what game are you playing Friday night? Being late for the stream at Dust Devil.
Oh, what was I playing? 7 Days to Die.
That's a fun game.
Is anyone else going live after this?
No,
I'll be going live in Dream World. But I do appreciate everyone coming, and like I did say, if anybody did answer, I don't even care if you weren't the first one. If you answered a question correctly, all you got to do is send me an email to twohacksgarage@gmail.com, and I will get one of those vintage, authentic AHRA Fleer drag cards out. Just randomly pick them. Push rod, see how things go. Love to come next year. Yeah. I really think that this year's event, in my opinion, turned out well, and I think next year's are definitely going to be turning out well.
Oh, man, I can't
We still have an hour and 40 minutes to drive. Where are you driving from? Actually, you know what? It's not living scary in Jed's head. I've been to Jed's house, and if you saw all the cool stuff around him, you would be like, well, this is cool shit.
It's until you spend the night at the track with me and like the whole posse, Brian, Mark, Ryan, everybody, and we're all trying to find the guy we're going to. I can't say that on YouTube.
Yeah.
Mm.
Dart sport is always the answer. That is correct.
Just
Very
wait.
correct.
Next year is going to be bigger and better.
It will be. And I tell you what I'm going to do to wrap the evening up. I'm going to do one more trivia question. And what I am going to do is it's not going to be Mopar and it's not going to be Ford. We're going to do a Chevy history, whatever. And I want it's going to be an easy one. What was Grumpy Jenkins' first name?
Wow.
Oh, I know that one.
I know.
I even know that one.
Grilled Slim Jims for everybody. That does sound good.
Oh, you missed it.
So,
Who
what
said
is
that?
Grumpy Jenkins' first name? Rick Norrington is correct. So, with that, White Trash Motorsports was correct. He was also known for chomping on a cigar, too, just like Dick Landy. And what a lot of people don't know about Grumpy Jenkins is he's really got his start not in the Chevy world, it was in Mopars. When look, I want to say 63, 64, he actually had a Mopar. Of course, it was fast, and he switched over into the world of Chevys, and the rest was history. So with that, everybody, I'm going to wrap it up. Appreciate everybody, but I am going to do this now that the weather is shit. I am going to do these on Saturday nights, probably at the same time.
Good.
Same Two Hacks channel, and it'll be trivia, begin it. And like I said, I'm going to keep track of all this, and whoever gets the most correct answers, I will send them the original Arnie Beswick AFX Mercury press kit from Arnie Beswick. So with that, everybody, have a good night, and we will chat next time. Peace out.